Chapter 369. Blade Dance. The long blade spun rapidly in the air. The impenetrable defense blocked all of Qian Feng's sword qi. Feng Jixing's body was covered with a vast and mighty whirlwind battle glow. His cloak fluttered in the air, making him look like a deity. However, the expression on his face wasn't too good. His face was extremely pale. He had used up too much of his battle qi. Furthermore, he was injured. His arm was bleeding non-stop. The long sword in Qian Feng's hand was like a god of death, and several consecutive fierce lights bloomed on Xiang Yu's shoulder. If it weren't for the protection of his battle armor, Xiang Yu's body would have been chopped into pieces. Die! Qian Feng's long sword turned into a storm, sweeping down, and went straight for Xiang Yu's body. At this moment, a trace of fear flashed across the eyes of Xiang Yu, the famous descendant of the Empire's pride. But half a second later, this fear turned into anger. He raised the bloodbath spear, and the fighting qi around him was raised to the peak state. The space seemed to be completely distorted, and chaotic ancient runes lingered around his body. The bloodbath spear glowed with light, and he shouted, "The seventh style, heavenly reincarnation." Boom! The water in the middle of the river completely exploded. Qin Yin and the others on the shore were dumbfounded. This was not a battle between humans. It was like a battle between gods and demons. On the other side of the river, a group of armor demons who were afraid of water widened their eyes and watched the battle on the river. They kept howling as if they were cheering for Marshal Qian Feng. Even though Xiang Yu had mastered the seventh style of the Chaos Nine Strikes, he was still no match for Qian Feng's absolute strength. At the beginning, they were locked in a stalemate, but now he was at a disadvantage. The fierce wind swept Xiang Yu's body directly to the bottom of the river, and Qian Feng held his long sword and slashed at Xiang Yu's head. Clang! The blade of the sword slashed on the long handle of the bloodbath spear. The Grand Master's demonic power surged wildly, and the biting cold force forced all the river water away, blasting Xiang Yu's sword into the mud at the bottom of the river. "Bastard, if you dare to kill His Royal Highness, I'll take your life." Qian Feng's face was filled with killing intent. Right as he was about to deal with Xiang Yu, a cold blade energy struck him from behind. It was Feng Jixing's blade, and this time Feng Jixing didn't use Heaven-Swallowing Blade. Instead, he used the frenzied blade from Fire Badger Valley 2 years ago, Hate Heaven Path. The saber intent transformed into a raging saber that soared into the sky. Feng Jixing had staked his entire lifetime's worth of cultivation on this saber. If this saber still couldn't defeat Qian Feng, then this battle in the heart of the river would most likely end in failure. Qian Feng's eyes turned cold, and his heart couldn't help but tremble. He hurriedly turned around and gave up on Xiang Yu. He held his long sword and rushed toward Feng Jixing. He raised the corner of his mouth and laughed loudly. "Today, if I, Qian Feng, can defeat all the peak experts of the human race one by one, it will be considered a great achievement. Feng Jixing, although you are very strong, you'd better be prepared to accept failure." As he spoke, Qian Feng roared and gathered the Grand Master's demonic power around him. Instantly, the river water spun wildly and formed a huge water column storm. The Grand Master's demonic power was contained in it, and the power of this attack could be said to be extremely terrifying. Bang! The Hate Heaven Path's saber collided with the power of Qian Feng. In an instant, heaven and earth dimmed. The power of the shock had already caused Feng Jixing to vomit blood and fall from the sky. He no longer had the power to fight. "You can die now." Qian Feng suddenly bent his body slightly in midair and suddenly threw out the long sword. Was he trying to take Feng Jixing's life through the air? The river water all over the sky turned into a rainstorm and fell. Feng Jixing's power almost fell to the bottom. He could only watch the sword fly toward his heart, and he didn't even have the strength to dodge. At this critical moment, a golden shuttle flew over from not far away. It was the dragon spirit sword. Clang! The two swords collided in the air, directly knocking Qian Feng's long sword askew. Feng Jixing let out a long sigh. "That was close. Fortunately you is here. My God, this Qian Feng is too strong." Lin Muyu stepped on the water and went straight to Qian Feng. She opened her right hand, and wisps of river water rose from the surrounding water and turned into sharp blades. It was the mantra of using water to control the sword. Without the sword in his hand, Qianfeng sneered. He opened his arms slightly and shook them slightly. The guru devil force surged around him. He shouted in a low voice, "Lin Muyu, come on. Let me see how powerful you are. You can escape from Lei Chang's warhammer and kill my general of the right." Lin Muyu suddenly opened her palm, and suddenly thousands of water swords rushed toward Qianfeng. The guru devil force spat out like a sky curtain, but the thousands of water swords could not break through. But when the water swords splashed, Qianfeng's eyes turned cold. He saw a sword blade piercing through the shield wall of the guru devil force and going straight to his eyes. "Good timing!" Qianfeng shouted and raised his arms together. Streams of blood-colored cyclones wrapped around the dragon spirit sword like cotton. He tore it violently, and suddenly the dragon spirit sword lost its aim. At the same time, it rushed toward Lin Muyu. Blue starlight rose into the sky. Lin Muyu let go of the hilt of the sword, and her left hand was full of the power of 5 mountains falling from the sky. Then she punched at Qianfeng's face. "What?" Qianfeng hurriedly took a step back, raised his hand to catch Lin Muyu's fist, and the guru devil force surged. Bang! Rocks and stardust exploded in an instant, and Qianfeng and Lin Muyu took a few steps back at the same time. But after this blow, the blood vessels in Lin Muyu's left arm burst, and streams of blood spilled on the river. The guru devil force was too strong. Lin Muyu was not a match for it at all with the power of the star art. No wonder Xianxia and Feng Jixing, 2 sanctuary powerhouses, were defeated so miserably. But Qianfeng, who had fought 3 masters in a row, was not much better. His face was frighteningly pale. Looking at Lin Muyu's injured left arm, he couldn't help but smile and say, "If you were a demon, we would be good friends." Lin Muyu's eyes were calm, and she said coldly, "You don't deserve it. Then I can only send you to hell." Qianfeng laughed, his hands hanging naturally, and the vigorous guru devil force surged in his palms. He said, "I haven't used this move for a long time. It's rare that you can force me to use my unique skill." For a moment, time seemed to freeze, and a powerful storm emerged behind Qianfeng. Could man overcome nature? Many people said no, but Qianfeng seemed to be able to. He was controlling a powerful superstorm, which was driven by pure energy, and the raging power of the blood devil breath could be seen with the naked eye. If this blow swept over, not only Lin Muyu, but also Qin Yin, Feng Jixing, and others behind him would be affected. "Are you crazy?" Lin Muyu roared. "This is just a battle between us. Why do you want to kill others?" Qianfeng laughed. "If they are not of my race, so what if I kill them? Besides, when our 2 armies fight, it is a life and death battle. Even if I kill the human army on the shore, it is not too much, right?" "Good, very good." Lin Muyu gritted her teeth, and there was boundless anger in her eyes. Originally, she did not want to use this move that would waste her life, but she had to use it. In an instant, she looked up at the sky that was beginning to turn dark. It was noon, but it seemed that stars had appeared. Thousands of starlight from the heaven realm gathered on her body, and the power of the 7 luminaries' dark force and the star arts in her body were crazily jumping together. The star arts brought the power of thousands of stars, and the 7 luminaries' dark force brought destruction. When they merged together, it was the proudest move of the 7 luminaries' demon emperor, 7 luminaries' stars transformation. Lin Muyu stood on the water surface and gently raised her palm. Wisps of stars in the sky fell into her palm, and in the blink of an eye, it seemed to condense into a galaxy. When Qianfeng waved the storm, Lin Muyu also waved the powerful move. 7 luminaries' stars transformation. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of the explosion reverberated between heaven and earth. Bright stars penetrated the storm and fiercely smashed on Qianfeng's Grand Master Devil Force Qi wall, and then penetrated through the Qi wall and directly hit the group of armor demons on the other side of the river. At the same time, this desperate move also made Lin Muyu very uncomfortable. The fragments of the storm swept over, like sharp blades, and cut open wounds on his body. For a moment, the armor on his body was already broken. Boom! The power of the 7 luminaries' stars transformation completely exploded on the other side of the river, and with the power source of the god-binding chains, it actually blasted nearly 100 meters of the other side of the river into a puddle. Whether it was the armor demons, the land, or the forest, all turned into nothingness, as if they had evaporated from the world. Wah! Qianfeng took the most direct hit of the power of the 7 luminaries' transformation, and finally could not resist it. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body flew to the other side of the river like a kite with a broken string. He was finally defeated. Lin Muyu's body swayed and fell into the water, sinking continuously. The power of the 7 luminaries' transformation, in addition to the injuries on his body, had almost taken away half of his life. On the shore, Qin Yin's pair of beautiful eyes were covered with a layer of mist, and she suddenly pulled out the purpling sword and said, "Quick, go and save him." Wei Chou, Qin Yen, and the others hurriedly returned to the river and rushed into the water with Qin Yin to save Xiang Xiaolong. Feng Jixing stumbled to the shore, and his face was pale. He sat down in the mud and grinned. "This battle is really exciting, exciting, exciting." Tang Lan's face was pale, and she said, "Someone, quickly go to the bottom of the river and rescue General Xiang Yu." A group of Tang sect soldiers rushed into the water one after another and swam to the deepest part of the river. They pulled Xiang Yu's battle robe out of the mud and dug him out from the depths. Fortunately, Xiang Yu was a sacred domain expert, and his need for air was not as strong as ordinary people, so holding his breath for a few minutes was not a problem. Qin Yen personally carried Lin Muyu's body out of the water. Qin Yin stood guard at the side, her face full of anxiety as she grabbed Lin Muyu's hand that was full of wounds, and asked, "Big brother Yu, are you all right? Quickly open your eyes and look at me." Under her shaking, Lin Muyu slowly opened her eyes. Feeling that her body was extremely frail, she smiled faintly and said, "Xiao Yin, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm fine." Qin Yin nodded her head forcefully. Lin Muyu raised her head to look at the person hugging her, and could not resist saying, "F***C, ah Yen, it's you who's hugging me." "Quickly put it down, you can't? We're all men, we can't be like this." Qin Yen was so anxious that his eyes turned red, and he said, "Big brother, don't joke around." Seeing that Lin Muyu could still joke around, it seemed like she was really fine. Qin Yin giggled at the side, her bashful beauty overflowing with charm, causing the group of officials and generals to be dumbfounded. Chapter 370. At night, the starlight shone on the unicorn forest. It was quiet. The candlelight in the central tent flickered. Qin Yin's beautiful face was calm. She held the golden scroll with the imperial edict in her hand. She looked at the officials in the tent and said, "Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xiang Yu are all seriously injured. We don't know what the demon race is doing. Let's discuss what we should do next." Su Muyun had just rushed over from Lanyan City. His face was still covered in dust. He cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, I think we should follow the Iha nation's strategy to resist the demon race." "What strategy?" Qin Yin was surprised. When Long Qianlin led the 200,000 soldiers of the Iha nation to guard the Qinling Mountains, Qin Yi ordered the rest of the generals to conscript the people and build a city wall along the 100-ridge city. They called it the Steel Wall. They will rely on this wall to resist the demon race. After all, we all know that the demon race is not good at attacking cities. Steel Wall? Steel Wall. Qin Yin frowned and repeated it twice. She blinked her eyes, looked at Su Muyun and asked, "Grandfather, are you saying that we can also build steel walls along the banks of Daojiang River and connect the 7 great fortresses to defend against the invasion of the demon race?" Su Muyun nodded. "Your Highness is really smart. You understood it immediately." Tang Lan frowned and said, "Your Highness, it is necessary to build the steel wall, but, after all, the Empire has experienced the chaos of the Iha nation and the Battle of Winterfrost City in the past 3 years. The national strength has long been reduced to half of the strength of the Radiant King. The construction of the 1,000-mile steel wall will consume a large part of our national strength and people's strength. Su Muyun replied, Your Highness, this old subject has already asked the officials of the Ministry of Revenue to calculate the cost. To build an 800-kilometer-long steel wall, it will cost around 500 million Jin coins. This is indeed a large number, but, as everyone knows, the Seven Seas Province and Cloud Province have not experienced any wars for decades, so they are very wealthy. The treasuries in the various places are also very abundant. Therefore, this old subject believes that the Seven Seas Province and Cloud Province will each spend 200 million Jin coins, and Lanyan City's national treasury will spend another 100 million Jin coins to recruit people to build the steel wall. Qin Yin nodded with a smile that refreshed one's heart. She raised her head and said, Duke Lan, the empire is on the brink of life and death. There's no room for so many misgivings. I believe Duke Lan won't be stingy, right? Tang Lan cupped his fists and said, If your highness decides to build the steel wall, this old subject will naturally not object. 200 million Jinin coins will be shipped to the capital when your highness needs it. Qin Yin smiled and said, Then it's decided. I will immediately draft up an edict to call on the people of the empire to actively participate in the construction of the steel wall. As for the funds and other details, I will leave them to Grandfather and Duke Lan to handle. The two dukes bowed in unison. This old subject obeys your majesty. That's good. Qin Yin stood up, tied the belt of the empress's cloak, and said, It's very windy at night. Both dukes, don't catch a cold. I'll go take a look at the injured brother you. Respectfully send off your majesty. Zhang Wei, Wei Chou, and the rest personally led their men to follow Qin Yin and protect her. When they arrived outside of Lin Muyu's tent, Qin Yin stopped, turned around, and said to everyone, All of you will stand guard outside. No one is allowed to enter without my orders. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said respectfully, Yes, your majesty. Zhang Wei said, Your majesty, the wind is strong at night, and the sounds in the tent can't be heard clearly from outside. Your majesty need not worry. Qin Yin couldn't help but blush. Sir Zhang Wei, do you want to continue working as a corporal? Zhang Wei hurriedly said, This lowly general doesn't dare. This lowly general won't speak anymore. This lowly general will go on night patrol, and the safety here will be handed over to Sir Wei Chou. Qin Yin looked at him helplessly. Zhang Wei was such a person. He was extremely upright, but he was also an extremely loyal general. From the chaos in Lanyan City until now, everything had been proven. Qin Yin opened the tent door and walked in. She turned around and sealed the door to prevent the cold night wind from blowing in. Lin Muyu lay quietly on the bed. There were injuries all over his body. Qianfeng's wind attribute martial arts were extraordinary and too strong. It was already very fortunate that he was able to survive that storm. The people from the spiritual medicine department had already finished dressing his wounds. At this time, Lin Muyu was sleeping soundly, but his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. It was unknown what he saw in his dream. Qin Yin smiled sweetly and gently held his hand. It was as if as long as he was by her side, her heart would be at peace. Not long after, Qin Yin fell asleep on the side of the bed. When Lin Muyu woke up, she saw Qin Yin lying beside her. There was a faint smile on her beautiful face, but it was unknown what she was dreaming about. Her hair brushed past her cheeks, and her long eyelashes trembled lightly. She had once been the pearl of Qin Jin's palm and was doted on by everyone. But now, she had to shoulder the heaviest burden in the world. When the empire was torn apart, Qin Yin ascended to the throne, and very quickly, a tribulation that would last tens of thousands of years, the demon race descended from the heavens. It was unknown whether the heavens doted on Qin Yin or mistreated her. Lin Muyu gently touched her face with some heartache. Instantly, Qin Yin slowly woke up. She opened her bright eyes and looked at Lin Muyu. She smiled and said, You're awake? Lin Muyu smiled lightly. Why did you fall asleep just like that? If you're sleepy, you can go back to sleep. No, I want to stay here, Qin Yin said with a pout. Okay, then I'll stay here. Lin Muyu stretched her arms and felt the wounds all over her body quickly healing. This should be the healing power of the profound spirit ruler. After all, even the best medicine wouldn't have such a shocking healing speed. Xiaoyin, is there any news from the demon race? No, we don't know if Qianfeng is dead or not. He won't die. Lin Muyu smiled slightly and looked at the big tent. My 7 glorious stars transformation isn't enough to kill him, but it should be enough to make him lie in bed for 7 or 8 days. Before he fainted, he saw Qianfeng's miserable state. Countless stars bombarded Qianfeng's body. Even if he didn't die, he would still be half dead. If he had even 20% of the power of the 7 luminaries demon emperor, then the power of the 7 glorious stars transformation would be on a completely different level. If Qianfeng were to take a full set of the 7 glorious stars transformation, he would definitely die. Qin Yin pursed her red lips and said, I don't know when this calamity will come to an end. Grandfather suggested building a steel wall along the Daojiang River to protect the empire's territory. I've already agreed. It will cost about 500 million Jinin coins. And that's fine. A trace of passion appeared in Lin Muyu's eyes. What are you thinking about? Qin Yin asked with a smile. Lin Muyu was startled. She looked deeply at her and said, I'm thinking about when we can no longer be so passive. We can kill our way back to the Winter Ridge Province and the Clear Sky Province and reclaim the land that the demon race has occupied. It will still take a long time. Lin Muyu nodded and said, the combat power of the Armored Demon Legion is too strong. If we can't defeat them in positional warfare and field warfare, it will be almost impossible to reclaim the 2 eastern provinces. By the way, is there any news from the Yihe nation? How is the battle between Long Qianlin and the demon race going? There's no result yet. The battle in the Qinling Mountains is in a stalemate. The demon race can't cross the Qinling Mountains, and Long Qianlin can't break through the demon camp. However, it is said that the Yihe nation in the Lingnan has suffered serious losses. That so-called commander, Qin Yi, is issuing edicts to recruit new soldiers from all over the Lingnan region. It seems that Qin is also very afraid of the demon race. That's natural. The demon race is ferocious, and the people of the Yihe nation are still human. Lin Muyu looked at the beautiful empress and couldn't help but feel restless. She smiled and asked, How many people know that you have come to my camp? Almost everyone knows that Wei Chou is guarding outside the tent. I have said before that no one can come in without my order. I see, Lin Muyu smiled and said, Then Xiaoyin, take off your boots and come to my side. Yes, Qin Yin blushed. After taking off her boots, she took off the empress's robe and sat in front of Lin Muyu with only a thin dress. She blushed and asked, And then? Lin Muyu's heart was beating so fast that she couldn't help but talk nonsense. Why does it feel like a young couple is secretly getting a room? My brain must be fried, Qin Yin giggled and asked. What does getting a room mean? That's right, how do I put it? Lin Muyu racked her brain for a way to explain this embarrassing thing. After a while, she said, It's a healthy and happy way for a couple to express their love by feeling each other's breathing and heartbeat, feeling each other's joy according to the rhythm of their emotions. After saying that, he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, Motherf **Ker, to describe something like sex in such a poetic way, I am indeed a genius. Qin Yin, on the other hand, was confused, but she still blushed and said, Then let's give it a try? How do we feel the breathing and heartbeat? How do we make our emotions move? Do we use our martial soul? Don't, Lin Muyu hurriedly said, don't use your martial soul. This military bed of mine was shipped from Tsangnan province at a high price. If we use our martial soul, it will probably fall apart. Qin Yin giggled and opened her arms to hug her beloved. She placed her face on Lin Muyu's chest and said, Promise Xiaoyin that you will never leave Xiaoyin, okay? Yes, I will obey your orders. Lin Muyu smiled and looked at her. Qin Yin's beautiful face became rosier and more enchanting. She couldn't suppress the impulse in her heart and slowly raised her face. Her red lips deeply imprinted on Lin Muyu's lips. Hugging Qin Yin's soft and hot body, Lin Muyu felt that she was the happiest person in the world at this moment. Dong 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 dong. The sound of war drums suddenly came from outside. Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, who were kissing passionately, were shocked. After separating unwillingly, Qin Yin blinked and asked, "What's going on?" "I don't know either." Chapter 371. After Qin Yin tidied up her clothes and put on her boots, she asked, "Wei Chou, what's going on outside?" Wei Chou opened the tent door and said, "Reporting to your Highness Empress, it's the sound of drums coming from the east of the river. It seems like the demon race is preparing to launch a large-scale attack, but previously when the demon race attacked, they did not have the habit of beating drums." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Wei Chou, bring my armor over. Let's go out and take a look." "Yes, Commander." Qin Yin hurriedly said, "You've suffered such heavy injuries and you still want to go out to battle?" "No, I'm just going to take a look. Moreover, it's just a superficial wound. It's fine." In the end, under Lin Muyu's insistence, she put on her armor and mounted her horse. She brought Qin Yin, Wei Chou and the rest out of the city. When they came out of the city, they could see the flickering flames on the other side of the river. Countless armor demons were shouting something but they could not understand it at all. "Commander Yu brought a group of heavy cavalry forward and said, 'Commander Yu's injuries are not light. Why did you come out?' If the demon race really attack, we have no choice but to come out." Lin Muyu ordered, "Wei Chou, prepare the black beech oil. As long as the demon race attacks, let them have a taste of barbecue." "Yes, Commander." However, after waiting for a long time, the demon race still did not attack and the drumming gradually stopped. "It seems like it's just to distract our attention." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Pass down the order. Send a message to the other 6 fortresses and let them be on guard at all times. These demon race's actions are too abnormal." "Yes, big brother." Qin Yin turned and left. Su Yu looked at the other side of the river with her beautiful eyes wide open and said, "I don't feel like they want to attack." "Commander Yu, have you thought about it? The demon race has stationed an army of nearly 200,000 armor demons on the other side of the river. The bodies of the armor demons are so huge so the food consumption will not be small. But this is Tsangnan province and not their supply area. So the demon race's food supply is far inferior to ours. Even if the demon race eat people, there are not that many people for them to eat." Lin Muyu nodded. "Aunt Lien is right. Anyway, we just need to start building the steel wall. Qian Feng is cunning, he definitely won't give up." "Yeah." Su Yu looked at Qin Yin and smiled. "Why is Xiao Yin here too?" Qin Yin blushed and said, "I was just accompanying Brother Yu in his tent, so we came out together." "Is that so?" Su Er's beautiful eyes narrowed, as if she had realized something. She came closer to Qin Yin and said in a small voice, "Actually, Auntie AI can tell that Xiao Yin likes you, and you likes Xiao Yin. Since it's like that, why don't you ask father to betroth them? If Xiao Yin marries you, wouldn't they be an enviable couple?" Qin Yin stared blankly, and her face became even redder. What, you can't say it?" Su Er smiled. "How about Auntie AI help you say it?" "It's not that," Qin Yin frowned and said, "I know Auntie AI's good intentions, but now is not the time. The empire has just been established, the Iha kingdom has been divided, and the demon race has invaded our borders. If Xiao Yin gets married now, I'm afraid the commoners will think that the empress is too infatuated with love. Also, a grandfather and Duke Lan most likely won't agree." "AI, that's right." Su Er sighed and said, "Although Yu is the empire's youngest and most outstanding commander, he still hasn't made enough contributions to become a marquis. Let's wait a little longer. Anyways, if Xiao Yin gets together with the person she likes, Auntie AI will definitely support you." Qin Yin smiled sweetly. "Thank you, Auntie AI." At the side, Lin Muyu coughed and said, "Can you guys not treat me as if I don't exist?" Su Er smiled and asked, "You, don't tell me you don't want to marry Xiao Yin?" "I do want to, but..." Lin Muyu said, "It's just that it's not the right time yet." After I've pacified Lingnan and chased out the demon race, I'll use this entire empire as a betrothal gift to marry Xiaoyin. Only then will I be worthy of her status. Moreover, if possible, I want Xiaoyin to come back to my hometown with me and marry her there. At that time, we'll set up 1,000 tables and 100 Rolls-Royces to welcome her. Don't even mention how flashy that would be. Su stared. You really isn't an ordinary person, although I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds pretty good. Oh, that's right. AI, the other side is beating the drum again. What the hell? Within the demon race's main camp, within the marshal's tent, a blood-red vortex slowly rose. Qianfeng pressed his palm against the ground, his body upside down. Traces of demonic energy circled around his arms as he used a strange posture to heal himself. At the same time, starlight flashed around his body, and traces of the 7 glorious stars' transformation's power dissipated into the air. After a while, he let out a breath and sat on the carpet. His face had regained some color, and he put on his cloak as he said, "Come in." A group of high-ranking demon race generals walked into the tent, their faces filled with worry. One of the demon sect experts cupped his fists and asked, "Marshal, are you feeling better?" Qianfeng lightly nodded. That Lin Muyu's mysterious power is so powerful. I almost died to that attack of hers. I lost the right general and caused His Highness the Third Prince to die, and it's all because of my, Qianfeng's, lack of leadership. After returning to the godly capital, I'll naturally apologize to His Majesty the Demon Emperor. I'll listen to him even if he wants to kill me. Don't blame yourself, Marshal. The humans are just too cunning. Everything is going according to my plan, right? The demon sect expert respectfully said, "Every incense stick's worth of time, I'll beat the drum, and the winged people will report that the human army is panicking and fighting." Qianfeng calmly said, "If we keep fighting like this for 2 or 3 days, the human army will be exhausted. When that time comes, we'll be able to slowly retreat back to Winterfrost City." Are we really going back to Winterfrost City? Marshal, our army's battle power is still far superior to the humans, right? If we retreat without even fighting, won't we lose a great opportunity? A great opportunity? Qianfeng smiled coldly. We've already lost our spirit in the first battle, and we've even lost His Highness. Moreover, the humans seem to have prepared a lot of black beech oil. Moreover, the meat that the armor demons need to survive is already insufficient. After all, this is the humans' territory, and we can't transport our supplies here. If we stay here, when the armor demons are so hungry that they eat each other, I'm afraid that the human army will cross the river and fight us, and will be faced with a crushing defeat. The demon sect expert looked shocked. Humans are really that powerful? What do you think? Qianfeng pursed his dry lips and said, "This battle made me understand that it's not that easy to conquer the humans. We can't be too hasty. Moreover, the human generals have famous generals like Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xianxia. It won't be easy for us to win. On the contrary, if we rest and recover in Winterfrost City, we'll have a better chance." What should we do after we return to Winterfrost City? Welcome the food from God's capital. Also, Qianfeng pondered for a while and said, "Order all the armor demons not to eat any humans from now on unless I order them to. Send people to gather the human craftsmen in Winter Ridge Province and Sky Reaching Province. Order the farmers to plant crops and order the craftsmen to forge sharp weapons for me. Also, more importantly, have them build siege weapons for us. I need both projectile vehicles and siege ladders. Once we have siege ladders that can reach the city walls, tens of thousands of armor demons will rush up to the city walls. Humph! The human cities will be breached in no time." The demon sect expert's face was full of respect. He cupped his fists and said, "Marshal is wise. This subordinate admires you. Retreat in 3 days. Also, send someone to God's capital to report the situation here to His Majesty the Demon King, and ask His Majesty the Demon King to send star sect experts to Winterfrost City." Marshal, you want to assassinate the human commanders? Yes, Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xianxia, these human commanders are indeed very strong, but if they meet the star sect's 5-star demon sect rankers, they will still be no match for them. Let the 5-star demon sect rankers disguise themselves as humans and approach them, kill them, and bring their heads to me. Yes. Marshal, if that's the case, can we send the star sect experts to kill Empress Qin? If that's the case, the human empire will fall apart in an instant. Qian Feng suddenly raised his head and looked at him with an unquestionable determination. No one should try to kill Empress Qin. Remember, Qin can't die. I will marry her one day. This? Your subordinate obeys. How's the situation with Marshal Lei Chong? He's attacking the Qinling Mountains, but there hasn't been any progress. That idiot. Qian Feng smiled faintly. Let him attack slowly. It's best if he stays stuck there forever. I heard that there's a brave and intelligent general in Yihe Nation called Long Qianlin? Yes, it's this Long Qianlin who is blocking Marshal Lei Chong. Good. Qian Feng's eyes flashed with excitement. If there's a chance, I want to meet this Long Qianlin. 3 days later, the demon race army slowly retreated. The demon race has retreated. The demon race has lost. We've won. Cheers reverberated throughout the human army. Everyone was excited. After suppressing themselves for a long time, seeing the retreat of the devil race, they felt that they had obtained a chance to survive. In the central tent, Tang Lan, Su Myun, Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and the rest were all there. The demon race has retreated. Qin Yin's beautiful eyes swept across everyone and said, On behalf of the people of the Empire, I thank everyone for your bloody battle, which gave the Empire a precious chance to breathe. Tang Lan cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, this is a battlefield, not a place for your Highness to stay for long. This old subject respectfully invites your Highness to return to the imperial capital's Zetian Palace. Qin Yin nodded and said, We can't slack on the matters at the defensive line. Every stronghold will have 30,000 soldiers. The rest will follow me back to the imperial capital. Big brother you, follow me back to the imperial capital as well. After drifting outside for so long, you must be tired. Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said, Yes. Feng Jixing touched his nose. Your Highness is so biased. I've also drifted outside for so long, eating and sleeping in the wilderness. I'm about to catch a cold, but I don't see any heartfelt words from your Highness. The group of generals laughed in unison. Qin Yin blushed and said, When we return to Lanyan City, we will naturally reward you according to your merits. General Feng, you don't have to worry. Each army will leave behind a deputy commander to guard the stronghold. The other commanders will lead them back to Lanyan City and set off in 3 days. Also, the matter of the steel protective wall cannot be delayed. Strengthen the supervision, and the sooner it is completed, the better. Yes, Your Highness. The officials cupped their fists one after another. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing looked at each other and smiled. With the demon race retreating, they could finally enjoy a few days of peace. Chapter 372. Before leaving Cangnan Province, Lin Muyu did 3 things. The first was to sneak into Jiangdong at night, capture 5 armor demons who were left behind as scouts, lock them in iron cages, and transport them to Lanyan City. This was requested by Feng Jixing. The second was to submit the design of the soaring crossbow drawn by Qin Xiling to the Ministry of Works. The third was to hand over the command of the 4th Legion to Qin Yan. It was unknown when Lin Muyu would return to the 4th Legion, so she could only let Qin Yan take control of this army first. As for the Temple Army, which had expanded to nearly 20,000 soldiers, it had merged with the Longdan Army Camp. The Temple Army was included in the Longdan Army Camp and was collectively known as the Longdan Army Camp. The journey was long, and it was already autumn by the time the large contingent returned to Lanyan City. Both sides of the road were filled with fiery red maple leaves. Qin Yin couldn't help but feel a little excited when she returned to Lanyan City. There was a faint smile on her beautiful face. Pieces of fiery red maple leaves drifted down in the autumn wind and landed under the hooves of the Empress and the group of generals. The north gate of Lanyan City opened, and countless officials stationed in the capital came out to welcome them. They chanted, "Long live Her Majesty." Qin Yin nodded with a smile. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing guarded both sides as they slowly entered the city. Behind them, the carriages of Duke Lan and Duke Yun followed. Under the leadership of Wei Chou, the 20,000 Longdan army camp entered the city at a later time. They were stationed in the camp behind the temple army and shouldered the heavy responsibility of protecting the capital together with the imperial guards. The officials followed the empress into Zetian Palace, where a banquet was held at noon and a discussion was held in the afternoon. After the banquet, everyone entered the main hall of Zetian Palace. Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Chu Yao, Zhang Wei, Wei Chou, and the others were all smiling. Lin Muyu talked with Chu Yao about many things that happened after they parted and found out that Chu Yao had been rushing between Divine Shadow City, Lingxing City, and the Spiritual Medicine Department headquarters in Sangnan Province. She had suffered a lot in order to prepare the medicine. On the other hand, Tang Lan didn't look too good. The two brothers, Tang Lu and Tang Tian, had ashen faces as they waited for the Empress's verdict. The merits and demerits of the Battle of Daojiang would be decided at Lanyan City. No matter how unwilling they were, this moment had finally arrived. "Your Highness, Your Highness," the officials shouted. Two maids carried Qin Yin's long dress that was trailing behind her. She had already changed into a brand new Empress's robe. Her long hair was coiled up elegantly, and the Empress's laurel crown was glowing faintly. Qin Yin insisted on wearing a sword. The purple Ing sword was hanging at her waist. She placed her hand on the hilt of the sword and walked step by step to the Empress's throne. She didn't sit down and just stood there prettily. She said, "Everyone has worked hard to force the devil race to retreat in the Battle of Daojiang. On behalf of the emperors of the Qin family, Qin Yin thanks everyone for your support and support." Everyone knelt on one knee in unison. "Long live Your Highness." Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing knelt side by side. Although as a modern person who had transmigrated, he only knelt to heaven, earth, and his parents, he felt relieved at this moment. He knew that one day he might marry Qin Yin. When he stepped into the realm of the God Emperor, he would obtain the power of reincarnation and bring Qin Yin back to the original world. At that time, he would have such a beautiful girlfriend, and he might even have to kneel on the keyboard. He needed to get used to it first. Qin Yin raised her arms majestically and said with a smile, "Everyone, please rise. There's no need to be so courteous." Everyone stood up. Qin Yin looked at the officials and said with a smile, "In the battle against the demons, Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xianxia, the three of you have made great contributions and must be rewarded. Therefore, I have decided to promote Feng Jixing to the rank of First General and reward him with 100,000 gold. I will promote Lin Muyu to the rank of Second General of the state, to control the Longdan army camp and protect the imperial capital together with the imperial army. I will promote Xianxia to the rank of First General of the mighty martial sky, reward him with 200,000 gold and confer him the title of Marquis of Pingnan." Everyone congratulated. "Congratulations to General Feng and Commander Yu. Congratulations to General Xianxia for being conferred the title of Marquis." Lin Muyu raised her head and looked at Qin Yin in surprise. She didn't expect that she would confer the title of Marquis to Xianxia. In fact, Xiangxia's contribution in the Battle of Daojiang River was lower than hers. It seemed that Tang Lan was pressuring her. After all, Xianxia was Tang Lan's subordinate. Xiangxia's rise also meant that Tang Lan's influence in the empire was also steadily increasing. Qin Yin continued, "The rest of the generals will also be rewarded. The demons are different from the Iha Empire. They are more ferocious and tyrannical. Therefore, Qin Yin has changed the military contribution system. In the battle against the demons, those who kill an armor demon will be promoted to sergeant, those who kill 2 will be promoted to centurion, those who kill 5 will be promoted to captain, and those who kill more than 10 will be promoted to captaincy." Below the king's steps, Wei Chou cupped his fists and smiled. "Your Highness, Commander, you killed more than 100 armor demons with just one palm strike during the battle against Qianfeng." According to the new military contribution system, Commander Yu is qualified to be promoted to Imperial Marshal. Zhang Wei grinned. I also support Your Highness in conferring Commander Yu the title of Imperial Marshal. He will be in charge of all the troops in the Empire. Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. At this time, Tang Lan smiled. Generals, you must be joking. The title of Imperial Marshal is too important. Not only must you be brave and invincible, you must also be resourceful. Currently, it seems that there is no one in the Empire who can take this position. There is still a long way to go. Commander Yu still needs more training. Lin Muyu cupped her fists and smiled. You are right, Duke Lan. Lin Muyu knows that I am not talented and I don't dare to take over the position of Marshal. Tang Lan smiled. Commander Yu is too humble. Lin Muyu's eyes signaled Wei Chou and Zhang Wei to stop making noise. Otherwise, the imperial court would not have a sense of seriousness and it would embarrass Qin Yin. Qin Yin's beautiful face was calm and composed. She smiled and said, however, the retreat of the demon race does not mean that the empire is safe. The empire is still in danger. The demon race is in the east, the Iha kingdom is in the south, and the nomadic barbarians are in the north. I hope that everyone will not slack off. The civil ministers will rule the country, the military will protect the country. Train the army diligently and defend the land to the death. Once we have enough power, we will cross the Daojiang Qinling Mountains and reclaim every inch of the empire's lost land. The four seas will surrender and the world will be united. The common people will no longer have to suffer the pain of war and will enjoy eternal peace. Su Muyun raised his head to look at his granddaughter. His eyes were filled with admiration. After so many battles, Qin Yin was becoming more and more like a ruler. Not long after, the officials left one by one. Lin Muyu also returned to the Holy Temple. That night, Qin Yin held a banquet in the rear hall of Zetian Palace Hall. She only invited a few people, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Chu Yao, Wei Chou, and Zhang Wei. Zhang Wei and Wei Chou were very happy to receive the invitation. This represented a kind of recognition from the Empress. Everyone knew that those who attended the banquet tonight were all regarded as confidants by Qin Yin. The candlelight illuminated the rear hall. A few maids served on the left and right side. Soon, a table full of delicacies was prepared. Qin Yin held a jade cup and looked at everyone with a smile. She said, let's not talk about anything else. Shall we have a drink first? Feng Jixing smiled and said, all right, let's have a drink. After downing the cup in one gulp, Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Xiao Yin was supposed to hold a banquet for all the officials in the capital. Why did she only invite the few of us? Qin Yin's gaze was faint as she said, because almost all of you here lost your parents in this war. All of you are fatherless and motherless. Furthermore, Xiao Yin has long regarded all of you as her family. Without all of you, wouldn't this life be very lonely and miserable? She spoke very quietly. This caused Chu Yao, who was beside Lin Muyu, to involuntarily tear up. Originally, Chu Yao had a family and a caring brother, Chu Huayin. But now, she no longer had them. She only had everyone. And Lin Muyu was also alone in this world. Wei Chou and Zhang Wei were the same. It seemed that Qin Yin had pointed out the most painful part of everyone's heart. Zhang Wei drank a cup of wine and said, Zhang Wei is a boorish man. Regardless of whether this is your highness's way of controlling people, just based on your highness's words, Zhang Wei will never betray your highness even if I have to risk my life. Feng Jixing nodded. Feng Jixing agrees. Chu Yao smiled slightly. Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi as a family member. Xiao Shi? Qin Yin smiled gently and said, Xiao Shi is guarding the demon-subduing pass in the west. She doesn't have much time to come to the capital. It's really been hard on her, Lin Muyu said. Once the demon-subduing pass has settled down, everything will be fine. Moreover, after Tang Zhen and the saintess of the demon race, Ling Hu Yen, become familiar with each other, I believe that Xiao Shi will be able to stay in the capital for a long time. Yes, I also look forward to that day. Come, let's drink and eat. Lin Muyu picked up her chopsticks and added a piece of pheasant leg meat for Qin Yin. Since we are a family, we should act like one. Eat more and talk less about national affairs. That's right. Feng Jishing sniffed the wine in the cup and said, "The wine bestowed by your highness is indeed mellow and fragrant. Why don't you reward me with a few jars of wine and let this subordinate bring them back to the tent to enjoy?" Qinin smiled and said, "Isn't it forbidden to drink in the army?" I brought them for old Zhang." Zhang Wei's eyes widened. "General Feng, you're so disloyal." Lin Muyu laughed heartily. However, at this moment, everyone suddenly felt a tyrannical power shrouding down from the sky. They could even hear a voice similar to Sanskrit. The voice was full of majesty and inviolability. Moreover, this power was very sacred. It quickly shrouded the earth like the rising sun. "What's wrong?" Qin Yin stood up and asked in surprise, "What's going on?" Outside, an imperial guard rushed in and cupped his fists. "Your Highness, it's an oracle. An oracle has arrived in Lanyan City." An oracle? Qin Yin was stunned. There hasn't been an oracle in the empire for hundreds of years. How could it appear? "What's an oracle?" Lin Muyu was confused. Qin Yin explained, "An oracle is a kind of guidance from the gods of the realm of gods to humans." In other words, the gods of the realm of gods have something to say to humans. Let's not talk so much. Let's go out and take a look. Yes. The group of people ran out of the Zetian Palace and saw a golden light shining in the sky. It didn't look like night at all. A beam of golden light pierced through the clouds. Golden ancient characters lingered around the beam of light, and Sanskrit sounds could be heard. Chapter 373. The oracle's radiance swayed slowly in the air as if it was searching for something. When Lin Muyu stepped out of the Zetian Palace, the oracle's radiance immediately moved towards her as if it had found its master. Whoosh! Thousands of rays of light converged on Lin Muyu's body, producing a powerful blast that pushed Feng Jishing, Qin Yin, Chu Yao, and the others far away. It even destroyed a small part of the palace wall. Rays of golden light played on Lin Muyu's armor. He looked up at the sky, his eyes almost unable to look directly at the radiance. He murmured, "Brother Demon Emperor, is that you?" Sure enough, the voice of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor came from the oracle. "Heh, little brother newbie, I didn't expect you to still be alive. You've really shocked me. F***ck, are you disappointed that I'm not dead?" Lin Muyu said angrily. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor continued, "My divine power isn't enough to support the oracle's transmission for too long, so let's cut to the chase. Demon Emperor, how's your journey in the infinite stars?" "It's going very smoothly. I'm invincible. Within a month, I killed hundreds of ultimate gods and close to 30 god kings. I refined their godheads and took their palaces and disciples. Who in the heavenly realm doesn't know of my name, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor? However, I met a god emperor recently. He was very powerful and a little tricky. After fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, I finally broke his head. I'm currently healing, so I found some time to use my divine power to guide me to you." "Congratulations, Brother Demon Emperor. You must have something to tell me, right?" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor nodded heavily. "When I killed a god king 7 days ago, I found a soul chart in his mansion. I found many people on the list of reincarnated souls in the Shattered Cauldron realm, but there was no one named Chu Chu. I suspect that Chu Chu isn't dead, so I ordered one of my god kings to search for Chu Chu's soul. He finally found it. Chu isn't dead." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. "Then where is he? Don't rush. Listen to me slowly." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor seemed to take a sip of tea. He smacked his lips and continued, "Chu Chu must have met Luo Lan during the chaos in Lanyan City. He escaped knowing that he was no match for her. He was chased by Luo Lan until he had no choice but to enter a tower that has the ability to pierce through space. I don't know what the tower is called. Chu Chu's last breath disappeared there. If you want to find him, you have to search through that spatial plane." Lin Muyu was stunned. "Heaven-reaching tower? Maybe it's the Tower of Babel you mentioned." Well, little brother Ayu, you should cultivate well in the mortal realm. I'm still waiting for you to ascend to the heaven realm and fight side by side with me against the god kings and god emperors of the myriad world. Okay, I'll try my best. Lin Muyu's scalp went numb. The path of cultivation was long. Luo Lan, who was at the first level of the god realm, was enough to kill her instantly, let alone the stronger god kings and god emperors. The light beam suddenly retracted and turned into a stream of light that shot into the sky. The divine oracle also disappeared. In the distance, Qin Yin Chu Yao, Feng Jixing and the others rushed over. Qin Yin asked anxiously, "Brother Yu, are you okay?" "I'm fine." "Xiao Yin, let me tell you a piece of good news." Lin Muyu said excitedly. "What good news?" "Chu is not dead." "What? Chu is not dead?" Qin Yin was overjoyed. Where is he?" "What I need to do next is to find Chu," Lin Muyu smiled. "So I'll probably leave for a few days. Don't look for me. When I come back, I'll probably bring Chu back." Feng Jixing was stunned. "You? Who gave you this divine oracle?" "A friend from the god realm." "A friend from the god world?" Wei Qiu and Zhang Wei were stupefied. Zhang Wei's face was full of shock as he said, "Lord Commander you actually have a friend from the god world. My god, you're amazing." Lin Muyu looked at the confused Qin Yin and smiled. "Xiao Yin, I'm fine. Do you remember why I was resurrected? It was because of this friend from the god realm that I was able to survive. Also, the peerless martial arts I have were taught to me by him. Although he has ascended to the god realm and can't help me anymore, he can still send me a divine oracle." Qin Yin pursed her red lips. "It must be dangerous to find Chu, right?" "It's all right. I've been to that place before. Don't worry." Lin Muyu patted Qin Yin's shoulder. "Let's go. You guys go back and continue eating. Bring me 2 roasted chickens. I'll eat as I hurry." "Okay." How could Lin Muyu have any appetite after learning that Chu was not dead? She grabbed the roasted chicken leg and bit on it as she walked out of Zhe Tian Palace. After whistling, Takshu rushed out of the stable and got on her horse. She went straight to the Tower of Babel. With the newly obtained State General's waist token, she left the imperial capital unimpeded. The Tower of Babel was still very eerie. There were whirlpools in the sky, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. There were imperial guards standing guard within a mile of the tower. When Lin Muyu arrived on her horse, an imperial guard centurion came forward and cupped his fists. "Oh, it's you, Commander Yu? Greetings, Commander Yu. May I know why you've come to the Tower of Babel so late at night?" "There's a situation in the Tower of Babel. Her Highness sent me in to investigate." "But..." The centurion was stunned. "Legend has it that there are ferocious beasts in the Tower of Babel. There are even man-eating gods and demons. Does Commander Yu really want to enter the Tower of Babel alone? How about this subordinate bring a group of men and horses to accompany the commander in?" "There's no need." Lin Muyu smiled. "It's safer for me to go in alone. Don't worry, General. I've entered the Tower of Babel before. I came back alive then, so I'm even more likely to come back alive now." "Okay, then be careful, Commander Yu." "Thank you." "Someone, move aside. Let her in. Go open the door for Commander Yu." "Yes." A group of imperial guards accompanied Lin Muyu to the bottom of the tower and opened the rusty metal door. In the blink of an eye, she hadn't been here for 3 years. Lin Muyu handed Takshu over to the centurion and said, "Help me take care of my horse. I'll be back soon." "Yes, don't worry, Commander." Dang. Lin Muyu pulled out the dragon spirit sword and activated her battle energy. Instantly, she stepped into the Tower of Babel with a flash of sword light. As usual, there was no one on the first floor of the Tower of Babel. When she walked up the dusty stone steps to the second floor, she heard an extremely ferocious voice. "Oh, it's been a long time since fresh flesh and blood entered the Tower of Babel. This time, which unlucky bastard did the Emperor send in?" A phantom rushed over at high speed. Lin Muyu saw it clearly. She suddenly opened her arms and the golden gourd came out of her body and condensed into the wall of the gourd. With a bang, the person crashed into it. Lin Muyu raised her hand and punched through the air. The 7 luminaries' profound energy twisted and directly hit the person's arm with a chaos element of the common people. She was sent flying and fell to the ground with a miserable groan. Under the light of the dragon spirit sword, it was a woman wearing black soft armor. Her cultivation was around the first level of the heaven realm. Blood seeped out of her arms. Her arms were bleeding from the shock of the first luminaries. How pitiful! Lin Muyu lightly pushed the long sword towards her neck and asked indifferently, "Who are you?" "I'm Xue Mei." There was a cold glint in her eyes. "You are also a subordinate of the Blood Lord?" Lin Muyu asked. "You? How do you know the Blood Lord?" Xue Mei's face was full of suspicion. She used the sword light to look at Lin Muyu's military rank and said, "Humph, so you are a commander-level imperial general. Kill me. After you kill me, the Blood Lord will have a reason to kill you to avenge me." "Why would I kill you for no reason?" Lin Muyu smiled. "Let's go. Take me to see the Blood Lord. He knows me." "Do you know the Blood Lord?" Xue Mei stood up and blinked her bright eyes. "Could it be, you are Lin Muyu? Why, do I not look like him?" Xue Mei nodded. A trace of respect flashed in her eyes. "The Blood Lord often mentions you. Let's go. I will take you to see him." "Many thanks." Under Xue Mei's lead, Lin Muyu walked up the stairs. There were some fierce wolves on the second floor. Most of them were around 5,000 to 6,000 years old. It was unknown where the Blood Lord Qin Hong got these beasts. There was a group of stone apes around 7,000 years old on the third floor. There were 7 to 8,000-year-old flame-treading beasts on the fourth floor. However, these beasts did not harm Lin Muyu. They seemed to know Xue Mei. When they reached the 7th floor, Xue Mei lightly knocked on the door. "Blood Lord, someone is here." "Lin Muyu." The Blood Lord's voice trembled. "Why is this brat here? Let him in." "Yes." Xue Mei pushed open the door and bowed politely. "Lord Commander, please come in." Lin Muyu stepped in. She saw the Blood Lord's back facing her. His palm was gently caressing the head of the 10,000-year battle bear. The battle bear was baring its fangs at her to show off. "Lin Muyu greets the Blood Lord." He bowed. The Blood Lord slowly turned around. His face that had been ravaged by time had a faint smile on it. "Lin Muyu, you escaped from Tong Tian Tower. Why did you come back? Are you not afraid of death?" Behind the Blood Lord, a few cultivators looked at Lin Muyu with ill intentions. With the Spirit Pulse technique, she could sense that these people were all at the second sky of Heaven Realm. They were very strong. Once they attacked together, it would be hard to tell who would win. At this time, she could not lose in terms of momentum. Lin Muyu brushed off the dust on her sleeves and said, "I'm not here to cause trouble, Blood Lord. I'm here to find someone." "Chu Chu, the teacher of the Empress." "You mean the white-haired Chu Chu?" "Yes, have you seen him before?" "He killed 2 of my generals and even brought a ferocious hierarch with him. Do you think I have not seen him before?" "Blood Lord, please don't be angry." Lin Muyu hurriedly bowed. "Blood Lord, Chu Chu is an important minister of the Empire. The Imperial Court needs him. I hope that the Blood Lord can do me a favor and tell me where Chu Chu went." The Blood Lord sneered. "Why should I tell you? Men, skin this brat for me." Lin Muyu laughed. Her golden gourd martial soul came out of her body. At the same time, she raised her sword. Golden god-binding chains wrapped around the blade, giving off a faint majestic aura. "Wait." The Blood Lord looked at her in shock. "Why do you have god-binding chains, martial soul?" Chapter 374. It's a long story. Lin Muyu's expression turned cold and she started to talk nonsense with a serious face. "This god-binding chains was given to me by the founding emperor. Do you still remember the founding emperor of the Qin Empire? My ancestor, the mighty everlasting celestial emperor. Who wouldn't know him?" The Blood Lord was a little excited as he spoke. After all, They were both of the bloodline of the Qin Empire. The Qin family owning the world was the proudest thing in his life. Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Not long after, there was an oracle from the heaven realm. It was the oracle given to me by the emperor god Qin Yi, who had ascended to the heaven realm. He gave me this god-binding chains and ordered me to protect the empire and this land as a member of the Qin family. I was to be loyal to the Qin family forever and never disobey. As for Chu Chu, as the teacher of Her Highness Qin Yin, I have to find Chu Chu." "Well, you said, is it true? How can it be false? Don't you have the ability to read minds? Come." As Lin Muyu spoke, she had already pushed the spiritual pulse technique to its peak state. The Blood Lord couldn't read anything. The Blood Lord was a little emotional and said, "Since you are the protector of the empire appointed by the mighty everlasting celestial emperor, I, Qin Hong, naturally can't stop you. The everlasting celestial emperor asked you to protect Qin Yin. I believe Qin Yin is the emperor that he has approved of. Lin Muyu, follow me. I will bring you to find Chu Chu." "Thank you, Lord Sun, for your understanding." Lin Muyu secretly rejoiced. If she wasn't quick-witted, how could it have gone so smoothly? The Blood Lord pointed at the whirlpool in the air and said, 3 years ago, Chu Chu escaped from Divine Lord Luolan's pursuit from here. The plane that Chu Chu passed through is called the Chaotic World. As for the situation on the other side, I'm not too sure. You'll have to go there yourself to find out. The plane clock of the Chaotic World has not arrived yet. You'll have to wait for about 2 hours before you can pass through. If Chu Chu hasn't been burned to death by the sand of time, you should be able to find him." "Thank you, Bloodlord." Lin Muyu turned around to thank her and asked, "Bloodlord, the Divine Lord Luolan chased after Chu Chu and failed to kill him. Why didn't he vent his anger on you and let you continue to live here?" The Blood Lord smiled faintly. "He didn't kill me because I pledged my loyalty to him." "Pledge your loyalty?" "Yes, Divine Lord Luolan is a divine lord with an extremely inflated desire for power. He wants to conquer all the experts in the world, but he also has the pride of an expert. So, he won't kill me if I pledge my loyalty to him." The Blood Lord laughed self-deprecatingly. "I'm just an old man who is imprisoned in the Tower of Babel alone and unable to leave. What can I do even if I pledge my loyalty to him? After all, to me, I've lost my dignity long ago." Lin Muyu said, "As long as you can help me find Chu Chu, you'll be a hero of the empire. When I return to Lanyan City, I'll definitely ask Her Highness to write an imperial edict to confer a title on you." "Really?" The Blood Lord's eyes were burning. "Of course it's true." While he was in a state of confusion, Lin Muyu used the spiritual pulse technique to read his mind. Sure enough, the Blood Lord didn't lie to her. Chu Chu passed through the plane and entered a place called the Chaotic World. This was true. After a long time, the lightning in the skies suddenly became intense. Dozens of blood-colored vortexes intertwined and reincarnated. The space-time plane had already changed. The Blood Lord pointed straight ahead and said, "The third vortex from the left is the Chaotic World. There's only 30 minutes left. Lin Muyu, hurry up, or else it'll be too late." "And then how can I transmigrate back?" 7 days later, at the same time, which is the third watch period, you have to return to the place you transmigrated from. Cut through the space plane and you'll naturally be able to return to the Shattered Cauldron world. Alright. Lin Muyu leaped and shot into the blood-colored vortex like a sharp arrow. Suddenly, a scorching force came over. It was the time quicksand. This time quicksand was more like the distorting force in the wormhole, making people very uncomfortable. She forcibly stirred up her battle energy and used her battle armor to protect her body from being burned by the quicksand. At the same time, there was a sudden howl in the depths of her Ehai. It was a Catasaurus. The Catasaurus had awakened. Rays of purple light quickly condensed on the surface of her body and turned into dragon scales. It was actually a Catasaurus protecting her master from being burned by the quicksand. Lin Muyu was secretly delighted. In this way, her armor wouldn't be burned and melted, and she wouldn't have to transmigrate to another world naked. That's great. After being baptized by the time quicksand for nearly 5 minutes, her eyes suddenly lit up. She successfully pierced through the plane. Lin Muyu fell into a pitch-black space with her sword. Bang! Her body landed heavily on the ground. Behind her, the blood-colored vortex slowly disappeared, and the plane rift was gone. He slowly stood up and rubbed his painful face. He looked around. This was a wilderness. Everything seemed to be a little distorted. It really looked like the Chaos Realm. Holding the hilt of his sword tightly, he suddenly raised his hand and his spiritual sense rushed out, creating a spatial rift not far away. Howl! A Catasaurus climbed out with a cheer. It wagged its tail and used its head to rub against Lin Muyu's arm. Little apple! Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. We didn't come here to play. We have to find Chu quickly. He should have lived here for 3 years. I don't know how he is. Can you sense Chu's aura? Little apple howled and raised its head. Its small ears flapped, and it let out another howl. Then, it swaggered forward to lead the way. Lin Muyu knew nothing about this place. However, it seemed that a Catasaurus knew this place. It kept howling, but Lin Muyu had no idea what it was howling for. She simply activated the spirit pulse technique and followed the little dragon to explore the place. The surroundings were barren. There were broken stones everywhere. Not even a blade of grass could be seen. Walking here was like walking on the surface of the moon. Fortunately, the air here seemed to be suitable for survival. Or perhaps, Lin Muyu's cultivation had reached a certain level. She was not as dependent on the air as ordinary people. Thinking about it, the green gourd was a plant-type martial spirit. It could provide oxygen, so Lin Muyu did not rely on the air that much. This was probably the reason why. After walking for an unknown period of time, they arrived at a slope. The little dragon let out an angry roar, and all the scarlet crystal scales on its body stood up. This was a roar filled with hostility. Something was coming. Lin Muyu hurriedly held the dragon spirit sword tightly. In the spirit pulse technique, a tyrannical force was quickly approaching. Bang! The ground in front of them was suddenly pierced through. In the midst of the splashing gravel, a huge demonic beast rushed out of the ground. It had no eyes, only a terrifying mouth. With a poochie sound, it bit a huge boulder into pieces. Its long body twisted like a dragon. There were 5 golden lines on its head. It was actually a 5,000-year-old spirit beast. Lin Muyu rushed over with her sword. The God-binding chain's martial spirit shone brightly. A bright star surged on the longsword. She slashed at the spirit beast that had crawled out of the ground. The first appearance of the star. Bang! The blade swept past, and the star crashed into the head of the giant snake. With just one strike, its head was smashed into pieces. A fiery red spirit stone rolled out of the blood. The Acatosaurus shook its head excitedly. It rushed forward and gobbled up the giant snake's meat. Lin Muyu frowned. She picked up the spirit stone, wiped it clean, and threw it into her cosmos sack. Then she waited for the Acatosaurus to finish eating. She said, "What's next? Where are we going to find Chu?" This giant snake was really too big. The little dragon had only eaten less than 10% of its body. It rushed forward and used its head to push the giant snake's body into the ground. Lin Muyu was confused. She could only go and help. The two of them used their strength at the same time. The giant snake's body fell down the hole they had come from, and the sound of water splashing could be heard. "Awoo!" The little dragon crouched at the edge of the hole and winked at Lin Muyu. "You want me to crawl into this hole?" Lin Muyu was stunned. The little dragon wagged its tail. There was no other way. She could only give it a try. Lin Muyu jumped into the hole. Suddenly, the sound of wind was heard. The little dragon's cry came from above. This guy's huge body also fell down, and its butt suddenly smashed on its master's head. Lin Muyu wailed, "Damn it!" The giant snake's hole was very long. Lin Muyu fell along with the hole for nearly 3 minutes. Finally, with a whoosh, light appeared in front of her, but it didn't stop. His whole body actually appeared in midair, and then he abruptly fell down. Lin Muyu was stunned. It was at least 5,000 meters high. What should she do? She was definitely going to fall to her death. *CK He wailed and looked up at Acatosaurus. I'm going to die because of you. However, she only saw Acatosaurus's pair of big cute eyes. The next moment, Acatosaurus actually opened its claws. With a whoosh, the dragon scales on both sides of its body turned up. The tips of the scales turned up with a trace of misty luster. It twisted its body and actually looked like it was riding on the clouds. Lin Muyu's feet tightened. Acatosaurus was about to hug her. The little dragon raised its head and threw its master on its back. Lin Muyu was still in shock. Sitting on the dragon's back, she was covered in cold sweat. The little dragon could fly. This was something she didn't know. Bang! There was a loud bang from below. It was the sound of the giant snake's body falling to the ground. The giant snake's body was already hard enough, but when it hit the rocks at the foot of the mountain, it still fell into pieces. The little dragon quickly flew down and landed next to the giant snake's body. Awoo! After retracting its scales, it still squatted next to its master like a big dog. Lin Muyu looked around. Using the spirit pulse technique, she slowly opened up her spirit pulse technique. This place was a stretch of green mountains and clear water. The sky was covered with layers of fiery red rocks, and they were densely covered with holes. She could even faintly see some giant snakes digging holes in the sky. What kind of a pain in the ass plane was this? It gave her a feeling that she was about to go crazy. At this moment, suddenly, the sound of hooves came from afar. There was also a fluctuation of aura in the spirit pulse technique. A group of people with not very strong auras rushed over. Chapter 375. Under Lin Muyu's gaze, a dozen people wearing soft armor climbed up the giant snake's corpse with swords in their hands. They waved their battle axes and hacked at the giant snake's body. They cut the meat and bones into pieces and threw them down the corpse. One of the men carried a broadsword and came to the head of the giant snake. He frowned and said, "The spirit stones have been taken. Damn it! Who was it that stole the spirit stones before us? Don't let me, Duan, find out or I'll kill him." That. Lin Muyu and Acatosaurus stood under the tree in front of the giant snake's corpse and couldn't help but say, "That? Ah?" Duan was startled and hurriedly took a few steps back. "Who are you?" Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said, "I am Lin Muyu, someone who just came to the Chaos Realm." The group of people behind Duan surrounded them, each of them with a vigilant look on their faces. Duan held his broadsword and smiled. "Kid, which galaxy did you come from?" "I don't know, but my world is called the Shattered Cauldron Realm." "Shattered Cauldron Realm?" Duan frowned and said, "Another person from the Shattered Cauldron Realm." Lin Muyu's heart skipped a beat. "Sir, is there anyone else from the Shattered Cauldron Realm like me?" A trace of lingering fear flashed across Duan's face as he said, "That old fellow is really not simple. He nearly turned our chaotic world upside down. If it weren't for the 4 spiritual venerables from the Saint Emperor sect defeating him, I'm afraid the chaotic world would have changed its surname to Chu. That person is called Chu Chu, right?" You know him?" "Oh no. I don't know him. I've only heard of him." Lin Muyu knew something was wrong and smiled. "Sir Duan, what's the use of digging up this snake's corpse?" This thing isn't called a giant snake, it's called a chaos worm. Why are you asking me these questions?" "For you," Duan asked maliciously. "I told you I came from another galaxy, but I think this should be what you need, right?" Lin Muyu took out the chaos worm spirit stone from her Qianquan bag. It was a 5,000 years old fire spirit stone. She weighed it in her hand and smiled. "Lord Duan, I just arrived here and accidentally killed this chaos worm. If you need spirit stones, I can give them to you. Just treat it as making a friend. I want to transmigrate back to my original world, so I will need a few more days. Please take care of me in these few days. How about this deal?" Devon narrowed his eyes as he looked at the fire spirit stone and smiled. "Young hero, do you know how valuable this spirit stone is?" "I don't know." It's worth 100 years of living expenses for a family of 10. "It's all right, I'll give it to you." Lin Muyu raised her hand and threw the spirit stone out. Duan stretched out his hand and grabbed it. His face was full of joy as he said, Young swordsman Lin Muyu is truly generous. Money is nothing but dirt, righteousness reaches the clouds. Duan admires you. No, this is just a deal. It has nothing to do with righteousness. Lin Muyu jumped down from the rock with Acatosaurus behind her. She said, I might have to trouble Lord Duan for a few days. Alright, who are you people? Haha. Duan laughed and said, in the chaotic realm, we are called demon hunters. Here, these are my brothers. Come, 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 greet young hero Lin. The group of people cupped their fists and said, Greetings, young hero Lin. Lin Muyu respectfully returned the greeting and said, Greetings, everyone. Duan looked at the military insignia on Lin Muyu's collar and could not help but ask, Young hero Lin, in your original world, you should be a noble person, right? It seems like you are a general with a high position? Lin Muyu smiled and said, Thank you for your kindness, your highness. I am the commander of a 20,000-strong army in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Oh right, you are called demon hunters. What do you hunt? Look up. Duan and Lin Muyu looked up at the sky together and said, The chaotic realm is a broken star. Thanks to the geniuses of this level, we are able to survive in the sky. However, these damned chaos worms always drill through the sky, causing the gas we need to live to become thinner day by day. Therefore, the people of the first level of the chaotic realm began to hunt these chaos worms. Fortunately, their skin can be made into armor, their meat can be eaten, their bones can be used as medicine, and their spirit stones can be sold to demon sovereigns and spirit sovereigns for large amounts of gold coins. We are the people who specialize in hunting chaos worms. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and said, Chaos worms live so high up in the sky. Logically speaking, you have no chance of hunting them. Therefore, you can only rely on luck and wait for the chaos worm to fall down. Oh right, Lord Duan, you just said that this is the first level. Does the chaotic realm have more levels? Yes, Duan said. Actually, strictly speaking, this place is divided into the second level of the chaotic realm. The first level is the void, which is the sky above, where the chaos worms live. The second level is here, where the poor, demon hunters, mercenaries, and a small number of cultivators live. The third level is the core of the chaotic realm, where the divine king, spirit sovereigns, and demon sovereigns live. Oh right, that Chu you mentioned, what's going on? Duan waved his blade and cut off the meat of the chaos worm as he said with a smile. 3 years ago, this Chu fell into the chaotic realm. Originally, nothing happened to him. After all, many people have entered the chaotic realm. This is an open plain, and we don't kill outsiders. However, this Chu provoked the divine king, so he was imprisoned in the chaotic dragon abyss. No one knows if he's dead or alive. Chaotic dragon abyss. Lin Muyu frowned and asked, Then how did Chu provoke the divine king? Duan said, The divine king is in the prime of his life. You're also a young man, so you should know this feeling. When he was in the prime of his life, the divine king set a rule. All young women in the chaotic realm must be pampered by the divine king on the first night before they get married. It just so happened that the daughter of the family that Chu was staying with was about to get married, but she refused the divine king's pampering, so she was killed by a demon sovereign. Unfortunately, Chu couldn't take it and killed the demon sovereign with a palm strike, completely angering the divine king, which led to his death. First rule. Lin Muyu curled her lips and said with a smile, The divine king is a dragon and fierce tiger. Can he get the chance to pamper all the women in the chaotic realm? Why not? Duan said, Young hero, don't think that the chaotic realm is very big. Let me tell you, there are less than 20,000 people living in the chaotic realm. After saying so much, young hero, why did you come to the chaotic realm? I went the wrong way when I was passing through the plains and came here by mistake. I originally wanted to go back to Earth. Earth? Duan frowned. I've never heard of it. Young hero, you're indeed a person who doesn't belong to this world. Since you have nothing to do here, why don't you help us, the Demon Hunter brothers, kill this chaos worm? Okay, Very soon, Lin Muyu took on the role of a demon hunter, because he still needed Devon to point out the way to the third layer of the chaotic world. After all, he had just arrived here, so he could not act rashly. Otherwise, not only would he not be able to save Chu Chu, he would also lose his life. Even Chu Chu, who was a first heaven of the sacred region, could not defeat those spiritual venerables, so he believed that he would not be able to defeat them either. When the sky turned dark, a group of demon hunters transported the Chaos Worm's body parts back to the town. It was actually just a small market, and the Chaos Worm's meat was really easy to sell. 1 silver coin for a caddy of meat, and it was sold out in minutes by the poor people with yellow faces. Duan smiled hurriedly and said, "Young hero Lin, I want to go down to the lower realm to sell this fire spirit stone. Since you also want to go down there to see the situation, why don't you come with me?" But Lin Muyu looked around and said, "Just the two of us?" Duan smiled faintly. "The more people there are, the more mouths there are. This spirit stone is a good thing. The fewer people who know about it, the better. Then let's go." The two of them didn't ride a horse, but walked out of the town. After walking in the same direction for close to an hour, Lin Muyu frowned. In the spiritual pulse technique, he felt an aura following them from a distance. He lowered his voice and said, "Duan, we might be being followed." Duan was stunned. "Don't stop, keep walking. How long until we reach the entrance to the lower realm?" "We're almost there. Young hero, don't be scared later." I won't." But a few minutes later, Lin Muyu was still stunned. In front of them was a cliff. Looking ahead, there was no abyss or canyon, only an endless sea of stars. This continent was like a broken tile floating in the universe. Looking ahead, they could even see the scene of a planet dying. The wormhole swallowing the star was a very shocking scene. "This is the stowaway path." Duan pointed down, and there was an almost unreal stone staircase leading to the lower realm, like a broken staircase hanging on a cliff. As if seeing Lin Muyu's surprise, Duan smiled awkwardly and said, "Young hero, please don't be surprised. We demon hunters and mercenaries are all lowly people in the lower realm. We don't have the right to live in the lower realm, so if we want to make a living by selling spirit stones, we can only stow away from here." "It's fine, let's go." Lin Muyu patted his shoulder and smiled. "Hurry, we're already being watched. He must have seen you when you took out the spirit stones." "Then what do we do?" "It's fine, we just need to find a place where there's no one and get rid of him." Duan nervously put away the spirit stones and carefully climbed up the stone staircase step by step. Lin Muyu followed closely behind, not even daring to look to the right. There was an endless universe there, and there was a mysterious suction force that kept them in a downward direction. If they lost their footing and fell, they would probably float all the way into the universe, right? Chapter 376. The winding path took almost an hour to complete, but when Lin Muyu reached the flat ground, she could not help but sigh in relief. She was really scared to death. In the distance, starlight converged to form a city. Looking closely, it was not starlight, but a bunch of lanterns with starlight. It was very beautiful. "That is the Imperial City." Duan smiled and said, "It is the place where the Saint Emperor and all the spiritual venerables and demon venerables live." "Where is the chaotic dragon abyss?" "The dragon abyss." The dragon abyss is at the core of the Imperial City. To put it nicely, it is actually the place where the Saint Emperor executes criminals. It is said that there is a terrifying dragon in the depths of the dragon abyss. After the criminals are thrown into the dragon abyss, they will most likely become the dragon's meal. "Where is the trading area?" "If we sneak into the Imperial City, we can trade in the chaotic bazaar." "Okay, let's go." "Okay." The two of them had not gone far when the aura behind them got closer and closer. Lin Muyu tried her best to reduce her aura to the minimum. She had fought before coming to this world, so she wanted to take the opportunity to see how strong the cultivators in this world were. Sure enough, the person following them was eager to hunt and quickly chased after them. Clang! With the sound of a blade being drawn, he shouted, "You too, Stop right there. Doan was startled and turned around with Lin Muyu. Under the starlight, they saw a tall and sturdy man standing there. He was wearing armor and had a bronze badge on his chest. Doan was scared out of his wits and said, "Oh no! It is a martial venerable found us." The martial venerable looked at Doan's panicked expression and was very satisfied. He sneered, "You two lowly commoners actually entered the lower realm without the Saint Emperor's decree. You are seeking death. Immediately hand over the spirit stone and scram back to the upper realm. I will spare your lives." "You are here for the spirit stone, right?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. "So what if I am?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. She walked forward with her bare fists and slightly shook her arms. Do Qi enshrouded her body and swirled around her, causing her cloak to flutter. She smiled and said, Come. If you can beat me, I'll return the spirit stones to you." Behind him, Devin was stunned. "Young hero, you are a cultivator? Oh my god." The honored martial artist narrowed his eyes. He was in a difficult situation and couldn't care less. He held his saber horizontally and poured his do qi into it. He said in a low voice, "You are courting death. Don't blame me." Buzz. The blade sliced through the air, simple and fast. Lin Muyu could even imagine that this blade must have killed a lot of people who had no cultivation. Lin Muyu suddenly stretched out her left arm and condensed the true dragon's power into a shield. With a clang, she forcefully blocked the opponent's blade. Lin Muyu flew forward and a blood-red vortex appeared on her right fist. She didn't need to use the star art to defeat this person. Just the first brilliance was enough. The honored martial artist seemed to realize that danger was approaching. His expression became more and more fierce. He shouted in a low voice, "Come, I am not afraid of you." He threw away his saber and crossed his arms in front of his chest to block Lin Muyu's punch. But at the moment she punched out, rays of golden god-binding chains martial soul energy surged around her fist, directly increasing the power of the first luminous. In an instant, the martial venerable's eyes were filled with despair. He could feel the changes in Lin Muyu's power, and with the power of the god-binding chains, this punch was not something he could withstand. Bang! Chaos of the first brilliance. Amidst the sound of bones breaking, the honored martial artist fell to the ground with a howl. He had actually fainted from a single punch. Lin Muyu frowned. With a light shake of her wrist, she dispersed the battle energy and the god-binding chain's power on her fist. She turned around and smiled. "Dun, let's go trade?" Dun stood there in shock. "Young hero, you actually defeated a honored martial artist with one punch? What's wrong?" Honored martial artists are cultivators. They are like gods in the upper realm. You actually defeated them with one punch. Let's go. Don't think too much. Yes. When the two of them arrived at the imperial city, a group of guards blocked their way. One of them rubbed his fingers together. His eyes were filled with greed. He smiled. "Lowly people from the upper realm. You can only enter after paying the toll." Doan hurriedly took out a heavy bag of money from his bosom and said, "Sir, please accept it." After the guard took the money, he chuckled. "Go in. Have fun." "Thank you, sir." Duan respectfully led Lin Muyu into the imperial city. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu observed her surroundings. The chaotic realm was indeed sparsely populated. The scale of the buildings in the city could not be compared to Lanyan City. This imperial city was not even as magnificent as the Five Valleys city governor's mansion. After entering the Chaos Bazaar, Duan found a familiar man in black. He handed over his spirit stones and received a gold note. His face was full of joy. "Young hero, the spirit stones have been exchanged for so much money. It should be enough for you to eat and drink for a few days in the chaotic realm. Do you want to follow me back to the upper realm or continue to stay in the imperial city?" "Duan, I don't need this money." "You can take it," Lin Muyu said. "But you have to tell me how to get to the dragon abyss of chaos." Duan squinted his eyes and smiled. "Young hero, you really came for that choo-choo. You can't fool me." Lin Muyu touched her nose and smiled. "All right, I won't hide it from you. Chu Chu is my teacher. I came to the chaotic realm to look for him. I see. Duan's eyes were full of respect. Young hero, you are a loyal person. Duan admires you. However, it is not easy to enter the Dragon Abyss. It is an important place in the Imperial Palace. Only the spiritual venerables and demon venerables who serve His Majesty can enter. Even martial venerables are not qualified to enter the Dragon Abyss. There is only one way to enter. What is it? The Saint Emperor is obsessed with martial arts, so he recruited warriors from the chaotic realm. There are only 31 of them, but each of them is an extraordinary expert. Among them, the 4 spiritual venerables are the strongest, followed by the 27 demon venerables. If you want to enter the Dragon Abyss, you have to pass the challenge and become one of the warriors of the chaotic realm. However, it is too dangerous. The strength of the demon venerables and spiritual venerables is far beyond that of a martial venerable. I understand. Lin Muyu smiled. How much does it cost to stay here for a night? 1 gold coin is enough. Give me a few gold coins and you can go back. It is very dangerous here. Then, young hero, please take care. After Duan left, Lin Muyu stayed in an inn beside the Imperial Palace. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, she continued to cultivate. After a good night's sleep, the sky was already bright. The sunlight in the chaotic realm was warm. Moreover, there were 3 suns shining chaotically. As a result, when Lin Muyu stood in the courtyard of the inn, she felt as if she was being illuminated 360 degrees. After a hurried breakfast, she went straight to the Imperial Palace. In the square of the Imperial Palace, there was a huge recruitment flag fluttering in the wind. Beside it was a huge martial arts arena. There was already a group of people crowding around it. Under the flag, there were a few people dressed in guards' armor who were yawning lazily. Lin Muyu walked forward and said respectfully, "Hello, I want to join the Imperial Guard camp." One of the guards raised his head and smiled. "Do you know the rules of joining the Imperial Guard camp?" "I don't know." "What are the rules?" "You have to defeat a demon lord. In addition, you have to sign a life or death contract because there will be no compensation if you die in this martial arts competition." "Got it." A trace of astonishment flashed across the guard's face. The handsome young man in front of him was dressed in a completely different style from the local Imperial Palace. Moreover, he looked calm and composed. This kind of attitude was not faked. Without sufficient confidence, he would not be so calm. He asked, "Young hero, what is your name?" "Linji." Lin Muyu still used her real name. "Okay, just sign here," Wang Yao said. Lin Muyu picked up the brush and signed, saying, "Is it okay now? Please don't ask me why this chaos realm also uses Chinese characters. It's not good to waste ink. I'll go invite the demon lord." Not long after, a warrior carrying a spear walked out. He looked to be around 40 years old. His face was filled with arrogance. He looked at Lin Muyu from afar and said indifferently, "You are the Lin Ji who wants to challenge me?" Lin Muyu stepped onto the martial arts arena. She raised her hand and slowly pulled out the dragon spirit sword. Below the martial arts arena, a group of Chaos Realm citizens immediately cheered. Many of them were waiting here to watch a good show. They wanted to see the scene of the challenger's blood splattering all over the place. The spear-wielding demon lord smiled. The silver insignia on his chest glowed faintly. He smiled and said, "Lin Ji, do you know how many challengers I will kill this month?" "I don't know." "The 7th. Also, my name is Luo Kai. Don't forget my name in your next life." Luo Kai's face was filled with arrogance. He didn't put Lin Muyu, this pretty boy, in his eyes at all. Lin Muyu also smiled. Her aura was awe-inspiring. "Don't worry. Remember my name in your next life." "Arrogant!" Luo Kai suddenly shouted in a low voice. Suddenly, the battle chi around his body spun rapidly, quickly condensing into battle armor that enveloped his body. The light of battle spirit revolved around his spear. He seemed to be an expert who had just stepped into the 3rd heavenly layer of the heavenly realm. With another shout, The spear danced wildly in the air and stabbed forward. The strength of the spear was astonishing. He really wasn't simple. Lin Muyu only took an instant to gather her chi and circulate it. The 5 battle spirit lights on the dragon spirit sword revolved rapidly. With a clang, the hilt of the sword locked onto the handle of the spear. Taking advantage of the situation, Luo Kai rushed over. He raised his battle boots and kicked out filled with battle chi. Bang! Luo Kai raised his leg at the same time. The two of them suddenly kicked each other. Lin Muyu stood in place without moving. The cyclone around her surged, while Luo Kai continuously retreated 7 to 8 steps. The spear in his hand was directly grabbed by Lin Muyu. In an instant, this demon lord's face was filled with shame and anger. Chapter 377. I can still kill you with my fists. Luo Kai flew into a rage out of humiliation. He gathered almost all of his battle energy in his fists, stomped on the ground, and rushed toward Lin Muyu like a bolt of lightning. However, just as he reached Lin Muyu, the dang sound rang out. His old face directly hit a martial soul that was as hard as a steel plate. It was the wall of a gourd. Luo Kai retreated several steps. 2 of his front teeth had already been knocked out by the gourd wall. Looking up, he saw Lin Muyu rushing toward him with a long sword slashing through the air. My battle armor is invincible. Come on. Luo Kai continued to shout. He knew that he had lost, but he was unwilling to accept the fate of defeat. After all, as one of the 27 demon lords, he had always been high and mighty. Poof! Blood splattered. The dragon spirit sword had been tempered with white diamond crystals, and with Lin Muyu's abundant strength, it was naturally easy for her to cut through the battle armor. In the next moment, Luo Kai's entire right arm was chopped off, and blood splattered on the spot. Below the stage, countless onlookers revealed astonished gazes. No one thought that this young and handsome man would be so strong that he could defeat the incomparably abnormal demon lord. Luo Kai knelt on the ground and slowly lay down. His face was pressed against the ground, and blood spurted out of his mouth. He was still cursing. Just you wait, the spirit lord will avenge me. Scram! Lin Muyu raised her leg, and a vigorous battle energy kicked Luo Kai away. He hit the wall heavily and he fell down with a howl. Lin Muyu's attack was very ruthless, but it wasn't enough. After all, she didn't kill Luo Kai. Now, can I become one of the guard's battalion's warriors? Lin Muyu asked. The guard in charge of supervising the battle was taken aback. He cupped his fists and said, Your lordship is mighty and invincible, truly admirable. You've already defeated Lord Luo Kai. Logically speaking, you should already be a demon venerable, but we still need Lord Luo Bing, the spiritual venerable in charge of the selection, to verify the life or death agreement and the outcome of the battle. Please wait a moment, your lordship. This subordinate will go and invite Lord Luo Bing. At this moment, an extremely dignified voice came from afar. There's no need. Lin Muyu couldn't help but frown. This voice was very old. Moreover, Luo Bing and Luo Kai were obviously in cahoots. Maybe this spiritual reverend was Luo Kai's father. She had beaten Luo Kai to such a state, it would be strange if Luo Bing was willing to let it go. However, this was also good. Since she wanted to save Chu Chu, she had to face these spiritual reverends head-on. At the palace gate, an old man with a white beard walked over. His face was rosy, but there was no expression on his face. He looked at Luo Kai in the corner and frowned. Is this the one who defeated Luo Kai? He even cut off one of his arms and made him half a cripple? The guard respectfully said, That's right, spiritual Reverend Luo Bing. This lordship is called Lin Ji. He's the one who just came to challenge. Luo Bing placed his hands behind his back and slowly walked onto the stage. He said, The Saint Emperor's selection of talents isn't just for killing. Lin Ji, your evil aura is too heavy. You're not suitable to serve by the Saint Emperor's side. How about this? This old man will help you get rid of the evil aura. What do you think? Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel that it was funny. What's the point of saying so much? Do it. Too frivolous. Luo Bing shouted angrily. His entire body surged with battle energy. 5 pure white battle spirits circled around his body, causing Lin Muyu to be startled. This was a peak 3rd level Heaven Realm expert, the same level as her. However, Lin Muyu wasn't afraid at all. This was because she realized that the cultivators in the chaotic realm didn't seem to cultivate martial spirits. Or perhaps they didn't even have martial spirits. Without the support of martial spirits, the intensity of their strength would be greatly reduced. Within the whirlwind, Luo Bing's palm was enshrouded in raging flames. This was an expert who cultivated the law of fire. Buzz. The golden gourd wall appeared in the sky and directly blocked Luo Bing's flame attack. Lin Muyu spun around and attacked with her sword 3 times in a row. However, Luo Bing waved his fire palm and blocked all of them. His palm was filled with raging flames and was actually able to block the dragon spirit sword's attack. Good. Lin Muyu raised her hand and sheathed her sword. She raised her fist and gathered the power of the stars. She brazenly punched out. She used 70% of her strength and directly used initial starlight. Bang! The air swirled around. The stellar art was extremely domineering. Moreover, this punch was supported by the power of the god-binding chains. This punch forced Luo Bing to take a few steps back. His face was filled with shock. Without waiting for him to take a breath, Lin Muyu threw out 7 to 8 punches in a row. The impact forced Luo Bing to take a few steps back. He was already at the edge of the battle stage. His face was ashen as he roared. His body was covered in raging flames. Both of his fists smashed down from the sky. Was he going to risk his life? Little bastard, I will kill you. Luo Bing spat out blood. His face was filled with murderous intent. Lin Muyu furrowed her brows and said indifferently, "Then die." Stepping on the ground, Lin Muyu slightly lowered her center of gravity. Her body was surrounded by a bright golden light. The golden gourd and the god-binding chains light intertwined and turned into rays of azure light that gathered in her palm. Suddenly, rays of stars gathered and turned into dazzling stardust. Suddenly, she threw out the 3rd style of the stellar art. 5 mountains descend from the sky. Bang! The cyclone expanded and instantly broke the fire curtain that Luo Bing had created. The mysterious destructive power of the 5 mountains descend from the sky was suddenly released. Suddenly, Luo Bing cried out in pain. The spiritual venerable let out a miserable howl before his body exploded. His blood turned into wisps of blood curtains. Lin Muyu had not controlled her strength in her attack, and it had directly disintegrated the spiritual venerable's corpse. Wah! Even though Lin Muyu had experienced the chaos in Lanyan City, she could not help but feel a little nauseous looking at the scene in front of her. Moreover, Luo Bing's strength was not weak either. A tyrannical fire force backfired on him, rendering him unable to muster any strength for a long time. The audience was stunned. The guard who was in charge of supervising the fight was even more shocked. Lin Ji, you killed the spiritual master, Luo Bing. Did I commit a serious crime? Lin Muyu was shocked. The guard smiled and said, His Majesty the Saint Emperor once said that anyone who can directly challenge and kill a spiritual master will be promoted to a spiritual master. Lin Ji, you are now a spiritual master under His Majesty the Saint Emperor. This subordinate greets the spiritual master, Lin Ji. You're welcome. Lin Muyu looked at the pool of blood on the ground and frowned. She was a little nervous. The guard said, Master Lin Ji, don't say anything. Follow me to see His Majesty the Saint Emperor. This is His Majesty's decree. Anyone who can challenge and kill a spiritual master will have the right to see the Saint Emperor. Okay, thank you. Lin Muyu nodded. He also wanted to see what kind of person His Majesty the Saint Emperor, who imprisoned Chu Chu, was. After entering the palace was not big, but the interior was very exquisite. After walking along the pavilions and waterside pavilions for close to 10 minutes, there was a magnificent palace in front of them. Along the way, many people wearing silver and gold badges were looking at them with hostility. Lin Muyu also knew that there were only 4 spiritual venerables in the chaotic world, and she had killed one of them after coming here, which really shocked them. However, he was also very confused. Chu Chu was a Saint Realm cultivator and the Fire Cauldron martial spirit was very strong. 3 years ago, Chu Chu shouldn't be much weaker than him now. How could he be imprisoned like this? In the main hall, a group of palace maids were dancing gracefully and elegantly. On the throne, a person around 30 years old was sitting upright and still. His face was red. The Saint Emperor had occupied the chaotic realm for a long time, but he was still so young. This could only mean that he entered the Saint Realm when he was 30 years old. This Saint Emperor wasn't just an ordinary person. Lin Muyu seemed to have found the reason why Chu Chu was imprisoned. You are the Lin Ji who killed spiritual master Luo Bing? The Saint Emperor raised his brows and asked. Yes, subordinate Lin Ji greets his majesty. Lin Muyu bowed respectfully. The Saint Emperor laughed heartily. Lin Ji, you actually killed that old monster, Luo Bing. It really wasn't easy. Servants, take a seat for spiritual master Lin Ji and serve him wine and meat. A maid came forward and held Lin Muyu's hand, pulling her to sit at a nearby table. Then, the Saint Emperor smiled. Lin Ji, since you've come to the chaotic realm, enjoy yourself here in Xiaoyao. You won't be able to go anywhere else. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. Yes, I'll be happy here. I won't go anywhere else. Ha, good. Although the Saint Emperor's eyes were shining brightly, they were slightly swollen. Lin Muyu pinched her fingers and calculated that the Saint Emperor's kidneys were weak. At this time, a few girls sitting in the same row as the Saint Emperor giggled. Wow, it's rare to see someone as handsome as spiritual master Lin Ji in the chaotic realm. Yes, so handsome, I can't help but be tempted. Big sister, could it be that you also like him? Yes. The Saint Emperor smiled and said, Spiritual master Lin Ji, look, I have a total of 4 daughters, and they're all princesses of the chaotic realm. If you like any one of them, just say the word, and I'll arrange a marriage for you. Lin Muyu was stunned. She saw the youngest of the 4 princesses stand up. She was about 18 years old, and she walked over with a cup of wine with a smile, saying, Father, I really like this spiritual master. Sisters, don't fight with me for him, he's mine. Lin Muyu glanced at her. This 4th princess wasn't bad-looking. Although she wasn't as stunning as Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, she was still pretty. The Saint Emperor said, Spiritual Master Lin Ji, are you satisfied with the 4th princess? If you are, she's yours. Lin Muyu was stunned, but she couldn't refuse. She could only cup her fists and say, Thank you, Your Majesty. Good. The Saint Emperor laughed heartily. The people of the chaotic realm live a simple life, and they don't have so many formalities. After you finish drinking, bring the 4th princess back to your room, and she'll naturally serve you. From now on, we'll be a family. Lin Muyu's heart raced. The people of the chaotic realm were too unrestrained, weren't they? The 4th princess in front of her had a lustful look on her face. No matter how she looked at it, she didn't look like a girl from a good family. She sat next to her and kept rubbing her arms with her breasts. She was like a madam who didn't rely on oars, but on the waves. It's over, I might not be able to save Chu Chu this time, and I've even gotten myself into trouble. No, calm down, activate the spiritual pulse technique, and protect my chastity and integrity. Chapter 378. In the blink of an eye, the night fell. The 4th princess held Lin Muyu's arm and took him back to her bedroom. Although Lin Muyu didn't like it, she couldn't do anything about it. Beside her, a guard in his early 20s was looking at her with a worried look. Lin Muyu knew that things were not looking good. She returned to the bedchamber and placed the drunk 4th princess on the bed. She then turned around and looked at the guard. Young lad, what's your name? My name is Qing Fong. Qing Fong, what a strange name. Lin Muyu smiled and said, I can't sleep. Come out and take a walk with me. Under the moonlight in the courtyard, Lin Muyu looked at him and asked, You must have something to say to me, right? Say it, you can say it now. Qing Fong hurriedly said respectfully, I'm doing my duty. There's nothing to say. Please rest early, Sir Spiritual King. Really? Lin Muyu squinted her eyes. The spiritual pulse spell had already been fully extended. Her spiritual power easily invaded Qing Fong's brain. Soon, Qing Fong's pupils became empty, as if he was sleepwalking. Can you say it now? Lin Muyu gradually felt that she seemed to have controlled the guard's mind. Qing Fong stood there without any light in his eyes. He murmured, Sir Spiritual King shouldn't sleep with the fourth princess. Because the fourth princess's body has long been given to His Majesty. She is actually His Majesty's woman. Lin Muyu's mind was filled with a bunch of king horses again. She said, His Majesty won't even let his own daughter go? Qing Fong continued as if he was in a dream. His Majesty is lustful. He has slept with almost all the women in the palace. That's why he was so generous to give the fourth princess to you. Now I know. Lin Muyu said lightly, Qing Fong, where is the Dragon Abyss of Chaos? The Dragon Abyss of Chaos is an important place in the palace. It's guarded by 3 demon lords. It's about 500 meters southwest of the fourth princess' bedroom. All right. Lin Muyu slowly stopped using the spiritual pulse technique. Qing Fong's eyes lit up and he said, Spiritual Venerable, what happened to me just now? It's nothing. Go and protect the fourth princess. I can't sleep for the time being, so I'm going out for a walk. Yes. There were very few people in the Chaos Realm to begin with. Naturally, there were even fewer people in the palace. The fourth princess only had 1 guard. Lin Muyu left the palace and went straight to the southwest. Along the way, there was not a single guard, so she did not encounter any obstacles. Further ahead was a huge garden, but the periphery was blocked by iron fences. The fences were full of rust, so it should have been some time since anyone entered. A demon venerable came forward in the dark and said respectfully, Spiritual Venerable Lin Ji, why didn't you sleep in the middle of the night? Why did you come here? I'm walking around. Lin Muyu smiled calmly. I heard there is a dragon abyss in the palace, so I really want to go in and check it out. The demon venerable laughed. Spiritual Venerable Lin Ji, you must be joking. There is only death in the dragon abyss. What is there to check out? There is death, which means there is a strong enemy. That is what I want, Lin Muyu said calmly. The demon venerable showed respect on his face and said, All right, if Spiritual Venerable wants to go in, I will pretend I know nothing. But you must be careful and come back soon. Thank you. She jumped into the garden. In the center of the garden, there was a huge iron plate covering the entrance to the dragon abyss. The demon venerable walked forward and tried to move the iron plate away. The wind whistled from below, which sounded like ghosts crying and gods howling. It was very shocking. Do you need a torch? The demon venerable asked. No need. Lin Muyu drew out the dragon soul sword and said, I'm going down. Please stay here for me, Spiritual Venerable. Don't worry, Spiritual Venerable. Lin Muyu jumped into the dragon abyss and called out the golden gourd martial spirit in the air. The gourd vines quickly wrapped around the walls of the dragon abyss and flew over. Lin Muyu grabbed the stone wall of the dragon abyss and lifted up the dragon soul sword. He looked up and found the iron plate was covering the entrance slowly. Maybe the demon venerable was afraid of being discovered. Using the spiritual pulse art, Lin Muyu couldn't help but frown. The dragon abyss was full of powerful auras, and he couldn't tell if they were humans or beasts. He opened his palm and suddenly shouted in a low voice, Dawn! The light was so bright that it looked like a scorching sun. Under the strong light, Lin Muyu looked down and saw many dragons with wings on the walls of the dragon abyss. However, they weren't from the sacred dragon tribe, they were just a group of pseudo-dragons with wings. Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. He didn't know where Chu Chu was. Lin Muyu moved down step by step. Not long after, a 5,400 years old giant winged dragon lazily looked up at the shining golden dragon soul sword and let out a roar. It slowly spread its wings and grabbed the vines on the wall with its claws. It quickly rushed over and opened its mouth to bite Lin Muyu's legs. The wind was cold. Lin Muyu was already prepared. He exerted strength in his palm, and the gourd vines pulled his body up for nearly 10 meters. He turned around and held the sword with both hands and slashed down. The energy of the starlight appeared on the edge of the sword, and he slashed at the giant winged dragon's head. Bang! The starlight flashed, and the sword directly split open the giant winged dragon's head. Before it fell, Lin Muyu quickly used the sword to dig out some spirit stones and stuff them into his clothes. Then, with a crash, the giant winged dragon's body fell down rapidly, and the smell of blood spread out. Suddenly, the dragon abyss was filled with the roars of dragons. One after another, fire, wind, stone, and ice dragons spread their wings and flew around the dragon abyss, competing with each other for the corpse of the giant winged dragon. Half a minute later, only a pile of bones was left of the giant winged dragon, and it fell into the bottomless depths. Oh my! Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He gripped the dragon's soul sword tightly and continued walking down step by step. He had to find Chu Chu. Otherwise, he would have come here for nothing. However, he was very annoyed. The spirit pulse technique couldn't distinguish the aura of Chu Chu from that of a dragon. Therefore, he couldn't find Chu Chu among the thousands of auras in the dragon abyss, and the height of the dragon abyss was at least a few thousand li. Even so, he still had to find him. Soon, Lin Muyu quickly killed another 6,100 years old three-clawed golden-scaled dragon. The moment he killed it, he plundered the spirit stones. Then he used the spirit pulse technique to hide his aura, and watched as the corpse of the golden-scaled dragon was devoured by countless dragons. It was rare that these dragons were very greedy. After eating, they dozed off and didn't look for more food. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Muyu climbed all the way down. The dragon soul sword had already killed more than a dozen dragons, and he was so tired that he almost collapsed. Looking up, it was dark. The demon venerable had sealed the dragon abyss, so he couldn't see if it was already dawn. He took out 2 military biscuits from his cosmos sack and ate them. After drinking some water, he rested for a while. Lin Muyu couldn't help but miss the days in the Empire. It was far better than the feeling of being dismembered by the dragons at any time. Gulp. In the distance, a huge dragon was taking a nap. With the help of the faint light from the dragon spirit sword, one could see a total of 11 golden lines on its head. This was an 11,000-year-old spirit beast. It was best not to disturb its slumber. Lin Muyu carefully avoided it. The gourd vines of the golden gourd pulled her body across the wall and gently bypassed it. Voila! Suddenly, under the power of the vines on the wall, a whole piece of the decayed stone wall actually fell together. Lin Muyu quickly fell down. In a hurry, she waved the gourd vines, entangling whatever she could. The gourd vines accurately entangled the lower jaw of this 11,000 years old dragon. Suddenly, it slowly opened its eyes. A pair of blood-red eyes were filled with ruthlessness. With a roar, it spewed out dragon flames from its mouth. In an instant, the dragon flames illuminated the surroundings. As a result, Lin Muyu's body was hanging under its mouth, swaying back and forth like a fish that had just been hooked. Roar, roar, roar. Roars sounded one after another. Almost all the huge dragons saw Lin Muyu and rushed over. It's over, it's over. Lin Muyu was secretly annoyed. She was too careless. She had actually awakened this long-lived giant dragon. It was really over for her now. Lin Muyu's nose was filled with the stench of blood. Countless giant dragons circled around and rushed over. A dragon with a sharp mouth quickly opened its mouth, and rows of steel needle-like teeth came crashing down. Was it trying to swallow Lin Muyu in one bite? The golden light of the god-binding chains shot up to the sky. The long sword in Lin Muyu's hand trembled. Lightning flashed, and the lightning strike directly chopped off the mouth of this 4,800 years old sharp-beaked dragon. Lin Muyu's body spun, and the blade of the sword slashed at the group of dragons with sword chi. Immediately, it made them even more angry, and all of them opened their mouths to bite her. Bam bam bam. The dragon's mouths and dragon flames crashed into the wall of the gourd over and over again, and the wall was shattered in the blink of an eye. Lin Muyu could only rely on her suit of battle armor to defend herself, and her face had already turned completely livid. Her battle chi was being constantly depleted by the god-binding chains and the golden gourd, and her stamina was also gradually being depleted. Her sword strikes were becoming slower and slower. It's over. Am I going to die here? She couldn't help but wail internally. She used her remaining power to materialize another gourd wall. Her arms and legs had already been bitten by the sharp-beaked dragons, and Lin Muyu released the gourd vines in despair. She descended into the depths of the incomparably dark dragon abyss with the dazzling light of the golden gourd shimmering around her. Countless giant dragons were flying toward her from all directions. In her final moments, Lin Muyu couldn't say anything anymore. She was constantly thinking about Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, but there was nothing she could say at a time like this. She could only silently point her middle finger at the giant dragons. She plummeted at a rapid pace, and her eyes suddenly lit up. She was greeted by the sight of a dazzling starry sky down below. It was over. Just as Devon had said, this chaos realm was a shattered star in space, and there was a boundless universe right below the dragon abyss. Right at this moment, a howl suddenly rang out, and Acatosaurus arrived without an invitation. Splat! A spatial rift had appeared right below her, and it had been forcibly torn open by Acatosaurus's sharp claws. Chapter 379. Roar, roar. Acatosaurus's body twisted slowly in the air. Divine aura surrounded it. This mysterious power allowed Acatosaurus to fly and ride the clouds. This was probably the difference between a real dragon and the tens of thousands of pseudo-dragons. Acatosaurus appeared very angry in the face of the dragons. It let out a series of angry roars, causing the dragons to look at it in awe. Some of the dragons even cried out in pain and retreated back to the walls of the dragon abyss. However, Lin Muyu's body continued to fall. There was an extremely strong force pulling him down into the endless void. Save me. He held his long sword and looked at Acatosaurus, who was releasing his dragon's might in the air. As if sensing its master's anxiety, Acatosaurus let out another roar and charged down. Lin Muyu looked up as he fell. He saw Acatosaurus looking at him with its mouth wide open. Its body was covered in a blood-red glow. In the next moment, Acatosaurus's body seemed to disintegrate. Its scales, flesh, and blood turned into streams of blood aura and flew toward Lin Muyu. A few seconds later, dazzling scales surrounded Lin Muyu's armor. What was even more mysterious was that the crimson crystal scales on his back merged together and formed a pair of crimson crystal wings. Human and dragon became one. At this moment, Lin Muyu had already assimilated with Acatosaurus's feelings. He could feel the dragon's anger and the dragon's reliance on him. The crimson crystal wings on his back flapped rapidly and stopped his body from falling. Lin Muyu was shocked. He looked at his body. His wrists, arms, knees, and boots were all covered with a layer of crimson crystal energy. It was as if the dragon had added a new layer of dragon armor to its body. It even gained the ability to fly. Armor. The sixth ability of the psychic art/animal taming art. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Her depleted Do Chi had recovered quite a bit due to the crimson crystal dragon's armor. With a spin of her body, her sword slashed at the dragons that were charging at her. With a flap of her wings, her body flew upwards at high speed. Her long sword was enshrouded in the energy of the first appearance of starlight. She stabbed at the lower jaw of the 11,000-years-old dragon. Kacha! The sword chi pierced through the dragon's skull. Just one strike was enough to kill this 11,000-years-old dragon-type spirit beast. Lin Muyu grabbed the dragon's head in midair and took out the spirit stone before it fell to the ground. She felt that the energy in her body had reached its limit. Was she about to break through? He was overjoyed. If he broke through, he would reach the sanctuary realm. Could it be that he was going to become a sanctuary realm powerhouse today? In the air, Although the dragon's corpse had fallen, the dragon's wild beast spirit had not dissipated. Lin Muyu did not leave. He flew in the air and summoned the treasure refining cauldron to refine the wild beast spirit. Perhaps the power of the wild beast spirit could help him break through quickly and step into the sanctuary. Around him, the dragons were still flying around. It seemed that they had not given up on the idea of eating Lin Muyu. They still wanted to swallow this powerful human. However, they were afraid of Acatosaurus's true dragon power and Lin Muyu's powerful strength. Therefore, they only circled around and did not make any moves. Lin Muyu quickly refined the wild beast spirit. In less than 20 minutes, the refinement of the wild beast spirit was almost completed. The golden gourd and god-binding chains absorbed and refined the wild beast spirit at the same time. This speed was obviously not comparable to a single martial soul. However, Lin Muyu was not sure if the two martial souls could obtain new abilities at the same time. It would be a pity if they could not. Finally, when the most stubborn wild beast spirit was refined, the god-binding chains and the golden gourd shone brightly. They had both evolved to the 9th level. Lulu's laughter could be heard. Congratulations, big brother. The green gourd has obtained a new ability, dragon armor. The god-binding chains has also obtained a new ability, dragon power. One is for defense and the other is for offense. Congratulations, big brother. Okay. Lin Muyu could feel that the god-binding chains had been infused with a new kind of majestic power. It was the power of the dragon. On the outside of the golden gourd, dragon armor could be faintly seen on the surface of the gourd. The two martial souls had advanced to the 9th level at the same time, and they had obtained different abilities at the same time. This was truly delightful. But what made Lin Muyu even more ecstatic was the surging power in his body and the powerful spiritual storm that was produced in his Ihai. The power in his body condensed into a whirlwind of fighting aura, which was the symbol of the power of the holy region. And the spiritual storm in his Ihai was slowly released, causing the giant dragons flying around him to howl in pain and retreat. This was the symbol of the spiritual power of the holy region coercion. The power of the domain. This is great. He was overjoyed. However, at this moment, there was a sudden wave of crazy aura in the spiritual pulse technique. On the left front, something seemed to be waking up rapidly. In the dark, two blood-red lights appeared. Lin Muyu looked closely and was immediately shocked. It was a beast embedded in the stone wall. It was also a huge dragon. Roar, this time, it was the armored Acatosaurus that felt uneasy. It madly roared at the beast in the dark. Roar! A deep and fierce dragon roar sounded. The other party responded. In the dark, a black body spread its wings and flew. It was a huge black dragon. Its body was covered with black scales, and there was a pair of blood-red eyes on its ferocious head. There were a total of 15 golden lines and 2 silver lines on its head. This was a 15,200-year-old dragon, an old dragon. And looking at the shocked reaction of the surrounding dragons, this old dragon should be the dragon king of the dragon abyss. Roar! The black dragon roared crazily. Dark dragon power began to appear around its body, quickly condensing into extremely hot flames. A pair of blood-red eyes stared ruthlessly at Lin Muyu, as if it wanted to tear this insignificant human into pieces in an instant. Lin Muyu stared blankly at the stone wall behind the black dragon. There was a person imprisoned on the vine-covered stone wall. It was an old man with a pale face. His shoulder blades were locked to the wall by iron chains, and his sea of energy was pierced by a spear. It was unknown if his sea of energy could still be used. Under the light of the dragon spirit sword, the old man slowly raised his head and looked at Lin Muyu, who was covered in dragon armor. His pair of turbid eyes were filled with excitement and agitation. Is it you? Lin Muyu's heart ached so much that she almost cried. Chu, it's me. Chu was in tears. I thought I would never see you again. You have to be careful. This Black Dragon King is very strong. He has suppressed my power for 3 years. You must be careful. Although you have stepped into the sacred realm, But you still have to be careful. And don't worry. Lin Muyu held the sword with both hands and looked at the Black Dragon King sternly. She had to get rid of this black dragon first before she could save Chu Chu. At this time, Lin Muyu's fighting spirit was incomparably high. For Chu Chu, she had to kill this Black Dragon King no matter what. Regardless of whether she had the ability or not, she had to do it. She raised the sword and gathered the power of the stars. Suddenly, it was first starlight. The powerful Black Dragon King was not someone to be trifled with. After a furious roar, he actually condensed a black barrier in front of his head. Lin Muyu's sword landed on the barrier with a dang sound, but it did not cut through it. It only slashed a crack on the barrier. Instead, the Black Dragon King suddenly opened his huge mouth and bit in front of Lin Muyu. Clang! The Dragon Spirit sword blocked the Black Dragon King's sharp teeth. In an instant, Lin Muyu's arms became numb and an invisible dragon force drilled into her body. What a strong Black Dragon King, as expected of the overlord who guarded the Dragon Abyss. No, she had to destroy the Black Dragon King's barrier first. Otherwise, she would not be able to attack his body at all. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth and raised the sword again. The 7 luminaries' profound energy spun rapidly and condensed on the sword's edge. The surrounding heaven and earth instantly distorted. The millions of giant dragons that were attached to the stone walls wailed, as though they were afraid of the power that Lin Muyu was using. 6 luminaries' heaven and earth calamity. The dragon spirit sword constantly spun the sky, the sea, the nebula, the forest, the mountain and other celestial bodies. The 6 luminaries' heaven and earth calamity, a heavy and ferocious attack that gathered the power of heaven and earth, fell together with Lin Muyu's sword. Boom! The explosion was deafening and the energy burst out, illuminating the dragon abyss. The impact of the airflow caused the stone walls to peel off continuously, and the sound of crashing could be heard incessantly. A temporary feeling of powerlessness came from her arms. It was the effect of the 7 luminaries' profound energies backlash. Lin Muyu raised her head and saw that the barrier in front of the Black Dragon King had already been smashed by the 6 luminaries' heaven and earth calamity. It was a good opportunity. Without thinking, she immediately activated the 3rd style of the star arts. 5 mountains descend from the heavens. But at this moment, the Black Dragon King actually took the initiative to attack. He opened his mouth and a mouthful of high-temperature dragon flame. Golden gourd, absorb. Lin Muyu roared and the gourd came out of her body. She activated the 8th level skill. Absorb. The mouth of the gourd opened wide and frantically absorbed the damage of the Black Dragon King's dragon flame. And Lin Muyu took the opportunity to slash the opponent's head with the 5 mountains descend from the heavens. Bang! Dragon scales flew and shattered. Dragon blood splattered everywhere. But this sword did not cut through the dragon's bones. The Black Dragon Kings had produced a very strong invisible rebound force. Roar! With its head attacked, the Black Dragon King became even more ferocious. It turned its head and bit at close range. There was no way that Lin Muyu could dodge it. Her left arm was instantly bitten. She quickly exerted force. True Dragon Arm. A golden shield appeared on her left arm, and Lin Muyu ignored the backlash from her body. She reached out and grabbed the dragon's tongue and tore it with all her might. A faint cracking sound could be heard. At the same time, her arm was in a terrible condition under the dragon's sharp teeth. The red crystal scales shattered, and she felt a sharp pain. Her entire arm was almost bitten off. Fight! Lin Muyu let out an angry roar and gathered all the Xianxia in her body on the true dragon arm on her left hand. Starlight gathered rapidly and the dragon abyss blossomed with a dazzling radiance. True Dragon Arm's 7 glorious stars transformation. 3 types of power were activated at the same time, and it was aimed at the weakness that the Black Dragon King had mentioned. On the stone wall, Chu Chu's eyes were wide open. He could not help but exclaim in admiration, "Good lad, where did you learn such a mysterious martial art?" Chapter 380. Boom! The 7 glorious stars transformed into tens of thousands of starlight that exploded in the dragon's mouth. The resplendent starlight pierced through the Black Dragon King's body, riddling his huge body with thousands of holes. The starlight did not stop there. The stars smashed into the stone wall behind the Black Dragon King, and like the destructive power of Doomsday, the stone wall was smashed into smithereens. The giant dragons that could not dodge in time howled miserably as they were smashed into pieces by the 7 glorious stars. Roar, roar. The Black Dragon King's roar turned into a wail. One of his tongues was almost smashed by Lin Muyu's 7 glorious stars transformation. Taking advantage of the fact that the 7th glorious star's backlash had not fully taken effect, Lin Muyu suddenly raised her long sword and once again used the 5 Great Mountains technique on the Black Dragon King's head. Crack! This time, the Black Dragon King's skull was broken and he died immediately. Then Lin Muyu cut open his skull 3 times in a row and took out the spirit stones. The Black Dragon King's body suddenly fell into the boundless stars below. Throwing the warm spirit stones into the Qiankuan pouch, Lin Muyu felt an irresistible sense of exhaustion in her body. Knowing that she would soon lose the power to fly, Lin Muyu immediately turned around and rushed towards Chu Chu. She raised her long sword and broke the iron shackles that imprisoned Chu Chu. She pulled out the long spear that sealed his qi, only to see a sacred whirlwind being absorbed into his qi. It seemed that Chu Chu had a way to prevent the power of his qi from leaking out. Phew! Exhaling a turbid breath, Chu Chu looked at Lin Muyu, who was holding onto the vines with relief. He smiled and said, Is this true? You actually found this plane. Of course it's true. Lin Muyu was physically weak. She said, it wasn't easy for me to find out that Chu was forced into the Tower of Babel. So, I found Bloodlord's whereabouts. This time, Bloodlord did not lie to me. How are you? Are you okay? Chu Chu quickly recovered his do chi and stamina as he asked with concern. I'm fine. The backlash from the 7 glorious stars transformation is too strong. 7 glorious stars transformation? Chu Chu was stunned. He squinted his eyes and said, as far as I know, this is the ultimate technique of the 7 luminaries demon emperor, right? How did you learn the 7 glorious stars transformation? It's a long story. Coincidentally, the 7 luminaries demon emperor became my friend and taught me the entire set of 7 luminaries profound energy. However, my soul wasn't strong enough to fully control the 7 luminaries, so every time I used it, I would suffer a backlash from my body and spirit. I see. Chu Chu pondered for a moment as a trace of sadness flashed across his face. He said, I've been locked in this dimension for 3 years. In these 3 years, how many things have happened in the Empire? Lin Muyu was startled and murmured, it's a long story. Tell me it's okay. Big brother Chu Huayin, big brother Qin Yan, and Grandpa Lei Hong have all died in battle. The Iha kingdom conquered Lanyan City. And then, Chu Chu's face was full of pain. Lin Muyu said, we found the corpse of Emperor Father Qin Jin at the Fairy Lake in Tianshu province. He was buried on the spot. After the Iha kingdom conquered Lanyan City, the 7 Seas City and Muyu City finally sent their troops. More than 300,000 elite soldiers forced the Iha kingdom's army to retreat and reclaimed the imperial capital. Xiao Yin ascended to the throne and became the empress. After that, I was ordered to follow Marquis Minyulan to reclaim Lingdong province. However, we encountered the invasion of the demon race in Lingdong province. The 100,000 Yangwei army was completely destroyed and the Marquis also died in battle. The demon race? Chu Chu frowned and said, what demon race? It's the race that the assassin I met on the Rice River on my way to Yunzhong province belongs to. They can use the demon battle chi cyclone, blood demon breath, and master demon force. The high-level demon race is very strong. The main force of the demon race is a species called the armor demon. Their body has a shell that can't be penetrated by swords. They are extremely strong, so we suffered a great loss in the battle against the demon race. Those demon race are the legendary original masters of the continent tens of thousands of years ago. Logically speaking, yes. They call themselves the God race. Chu Chu sighed and said, the chaos of the Iha kingdom has already caused the empire to fall apart. Now that the demon race has reappeared, the continent is even more chaotic. You, how are you doing? Not too bad. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. I, Big Brother Feng, Big Sister Chu Yao, Xiao Shi, and Xiao Yin all survived this turmoil. This is the most comforting thing. Now that the demon race is very strong, we really need you, Grandpa Chu Chu. Chu Chu also smiled. I also want to go home, but I don't know how to transmigrate back. Do you have the ability to do so? I do. Lin Muyu said in a deep voice. Before the 7 luminaries demon emperor ascended to heaven realm, he taught me the plane-piercing secret technique, so we can go back. But can Grandpa's body withstand the impact of the time quicksand? No problem. Chu Chu said lightly, do you think I've been wasting my time in the chaos realm for the past 3 years? How is that possible? I've been spending time with the Black Dragon King and many other giant dragons. These 3 years, I've been researching dragon power and dragon language. I've already created a set of martial arts from the dragon race's bloodline, called the dragon slaying art. But with my bloodline, I can't use the dragon slaying art to its full potential. So I plan to pass it on to Her Highness Qin Yin, who has the bloodline of a true dragon. Lin Muyu was secretly happy. This is a good thing. You're the princess's grand tutor, this is part of your duty. Chu Chu nodded. Then take a good rest and recover your strength and battle energy. After that we'll leave the chaos realm. Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold. I've entered the palace in the chaos realm and met that so-called Saint Emperor. He made you suffer so much, how can I let him go? What do you want to do? Chu Chu was stunned. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and said lightly, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I want him to pay back double for what he did to grandfather. Before I leave the chaos realm, I want to get rid of this Saint Emperor, the scum of the chaos realm. Chu Chu couldn't help but laugh. Although you've stepped into the Saint realm and have the secret technique of the 7 luminaries demon emperor, the Saint Emperor isn't someone to be trifled with. Are you confident that you can defeat him? No, but I can challenge him. Besides, I have grandfather's help. How do you know that my strength can defeat the Saint Emperor? I can sense it. Lin Muyu smiled mysteriously. Chu Chu also couldn't help but laugh. At this moment, he released all the strength in his body without holding back. His powerful aura turned into a suppressive force that descended upon the entire dragon abyss, causing all the dragons to tremble uncontrollably and submit. Chu Chu's body was surrounded by rays of golden light, making him look like a god. This power was something that Lin Muyu couldn't contend against at the moment. What kind of power is this? Lin Muyu asked in shock. This is called the Saint Realm. Chu Chu said lightly, the power of a Saint Realm third heaven. Grandfather Chu Chu has reached the Saint Realm? Lin Muyu was overjoyed. That is to say, Grandfather Chu Chu will step into the immortal realm soon? The immortal realm is very far away. I don't know when I will be able to compete with it, but I have never slacked off for a single moment in the past 3 years. Staying with the Dragon Clan and cultivating my state of mind in the Dragon Abyss, I have made great progress and stepped into the Saint Realm in one go. Chu Chu sighed and said with a smile, misfortune is a blessing in disguise, and misfortune lurks within misfortune. Who can understand all the wonders of this world? Lin Muyu clenched her fists confidently and said with a smile, Brother Feng and I have stepped into the Saint Realm, and with the strength of Chu Third Heaven of the Saint Realm, even if Luolan comes to Lanyan City again, we won't have to be afraid, right? Chu Chu nodded heavily and said, I am old, and I will contribute as much as I can to the empire. You and Feng Jixing, on the other hand, have to cultivate hard. The future of the empire is still in the hands of the two of you. Yes, grandfather, are you hungry? Eat something? Sit. Here, this is the roast chicken I brought from Lanyan City. Grandfather, eat slowly. This is wine, the Yinhua wine. I secretly brought it from Zhe Tian Palace. It's delicious, the taste of home. Chu Chu was almost moved to tears again. Lin Muyu looked at him silently, but in her heart, she thought to herself, it's just a piece of meat and a glass of wine. After an unknown number of days, Chu Chu and Lin Muyu hid in the dragon abyss, concentrating on cultivating and recovering. While Chu Chu's strength was already at its peak, Lin Muyu's strength was increasing rapidly. The damage caused by the backlash from the 7 glorious stars transformation was gradually recovering, and her physical strength and battle chi had been raised to the peak. I've recovered. In the darkness, Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Chu Chu nodded and said, the Saint Emperor has accumulated power in the chaotic realm for too long, and he has left behind many treasures and riches in the palace. If we can kill the Saint Emperor, we can rob his treasures and bring them back to the Empire. It can be considered as a contribution to the Empire. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Lin Muyu raised her head to look at the dragon abyss and felt the presence of many experts entrenched there. She couldn't help but frown and say, Chu Chu, I've been in the dragon abyss for at least 3 days. I think the Saint Emperor has already discovered that the situation isn't good. There are many people surrounding the top. When we get out, we must attack first. Chu Chu smiled and said, yes, the spirit lords, demon lords, and martial lords that the Saint Emperor subdued are all vicious people. Their deaths are not to be regretted, so there's no need to show mercy. Getting rid of them might be a good thing for the chaotic realm. Lin Muyu said, then, let's get ready to move. How do we get up there? Chu Chu asked. Fly up. Lin Muyu's eyes darkened as she called out softly, Little Apple, armor form. Ooh? In the EC, Icatosaurus let out an angry roar and quickly flew out of the plane. It turned into rays of blood-red light that gathered around Lin Muyu and quickly entered armor form. A pair of red crystal wings spread open behind its back, and for a moment, all the giant dragons in the dragon abyss trembled in submission. Lin Muyu didn't have the mood to kill these dragons. She reached out and hugged Chu Chu, then jumped up and spread her wings to fly towards the dragon abyss. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.